I think he just thought it was.
It's not some dude's account where it's like you can willy-nilly put, hey, check out my cool edit for whatever game day.
Some people do a good job with that. Remember the white helmet that somebody sent out with the cool black visor with the gold visor? Oh, those were sweet. I wish we would adopt those.
Well, we had the models. That was when recruits would come.
Yeah.
Remember, every once in a while, we'd go to like a media day, and people would like be wheeling them in the hallways.
You're like, what is this?
This is like dummy walking around.
Yeah.
Meaning the model, the mannequin.
Not the staff.
Not the staff member. It's not their fault. They're told to. We just put it down.
Yeah.
Move it again.
Yeah. No, I know. Premier League getting started June the 17th, I believe they said. That is, going to happen, buddy.
Hello, Saturday morning.
Yep. Got more. Well, good news here is, again, all that momentum we've talked about and cited for the last 2 weeks that shows and looks like we're moving towards a time where professional sports and hopefully collegiate sports return in some fashion. Well, that's kind of happening. You're starting to see that now where there's a plan in place for the NHL. You're seeing, obviously, what's going on with the Premier League getting started again, actual games being played. NBA teams are practicing at facilities. You're starting to see more and more of this. Obviously, Clemson within the ACC and some others. Louisville, I think, was the other team talking about June the 8th. So, on June the 1st, the NCAA basically lifted their restrictions on student athletes, or they will on June the 1st, lift their restriction on student athletes' ability to utilize the facilities. So they can return to campus, but then they can also use, and I'm sure they're going to have to figure out the social distancing, and they'll stagger when people can be in there and how many people can be in there, but you can now utilize the equipment, meaning you can go work out at the facilities.
We just got a new batch of it, too. I remember Coach Storms a couple weeks ago saying, here's this section and that section. They got brand new equipment.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's very exciting and good for them. And so all of that, again, seems to portend of games to be played, and they're still figuring out how that's going to look. I know athletic directors across the country are trying to figure out a way to get fans in the stands but keep them 6 feet apart. And obviously that depends on the size of your stadium. You've got a 25,000-seat stadium. It might mean you can only have 4,000 to 5,000 people in the stands. You've got an 80,000-seat stadium. I don't know what that looks like. Is that 20,000 people? Where do the students sit? Where does the band sit? Does the band get together? I mean, it's going to be different.
What the hell do you do with concessions? Because you can't really have a line. It's too compressed in our stadium and most stadiums.
I doubt you'd have much of a line if there's only 20,000 people in the stands. But
if you only have one portion of the stadium open, you've got to be careful on how that works. Yeah. Unless you have an app that will have delivery to your seat, and you just do it that way. No exchange of cash, no swiping a call.
I like that, buddy. Let's do it. Let's do that.
I would think you'd have the manpower. You could repurpose people who would be on the other side of the stadium.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to look, and either do a lot of people. I mean, you have some people who have these, pie-in-the-sky ideas that we're going to have full stadiums and everything's going to return to exactly as it was and nothing's going to be affected about the upcoming football season. And then you have what I think is a much more pragmatic approach, which is let's wait and see what the data tells us. Let's see what we can and can't do, and then we'll start talking about it. But those who do engage in that ought not engage in absolutism. You got to understand that things are going to shift the way you think, and we talk about this a lot, but I just see so many comments, and I think to myself, what are you doing? You don't have to make that statement. You're an official for the university. Let's just use caution here. I like FSU's approach, which has been very quiet. Now, it's annoying to some people that we're not getting more information, but I don't really need any more information right now. We know what we know, which is that student athletes can return to campus and begin voluntary workouts starting in June. Okay, got it. And then from there, when it comes time to organize these things in a practice-like setting, we will have to talk about what we're going to do.
Of course, those are the money sports, too. That's hard if you're a fall sport that's not football, because men's and women's basketball can come back as well, but they wouldn't even start their games until November. And those are just the exhibition ones, at least on the men's circuit. But if you're in, Mark Accordian's program, if you're one of the volleyball players in the fall for golf and Trey, I mean, what is that going to look like? Because typically they travel that part of the season, right, to Mexico or the West Coast, or before they start their springtime season as a golf team.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, there's still a lot of questions to be asked for the non-big sports.
Yeah, I think travel is going to be cut back severely for a multitude of reasons. I mean, the economics of this right now are a disaster. Boy, oh boy.
In that vein, it's a good thing we're in the state of Florida, and we can get to Sea Island, or we can get down to Orlando or Jacksonville, or the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
Plenty of good golf in the area, buddy.
Plenty of good golf in the area,
including the brand new Legacy Golf Course.
Right. When can I get my kids on campus, though? That's the hard part. And so hopefully the phase with these student athletes, these specific 3 sports student athletes coming on campus paves the way for the others.
Yeah.
Because you would hate to see something go wrong at one of these universities because somebody didn't follow the rules.
Well, you're seeing already some cases where the staff that's involved in athletics that has returned, they've had a couple positive tests. Not for Florida State that I'm aware of, but at, I think it was Louisville. Somewhere they had a couple of people. But that's the point of testing.
Right.
They were able to identify people who tested positive. Good, get them out of there.
Well, and the question is, was it a positive test for COVID or the antibody test, meaning they had it sometime in the recent past?
Yeah, and didn't know it.
Those are big differences about what you can do and where you can go. And that better be outlined too. What kind of positive test is it?
Yeah, you're right.
You're seeing that right now in reporting around the country. It's like, okay, that's great that you administered 300,000 tests today, but were they all for COVID or were some of them antibody tests? Because you shouldn't be counting those in the same general pen.
I know that we're going to read and see and hear about positive tests when students come back on campus, obviously, and we're going to hear it about our student athletes. I am more curious, certainly, to see how they handle it, and is there a recoiling by folks who right now think they can stomach the idea of moving forward. But if moving forward means we see a spike and some people get really, really sick, as you and I have talked about, I don't know how diligently they'll hammer out that stance, right?
Well, and that's where the university presidents and athletic directors and chancellors, all the big players, the governors of the states, they need to be ready. That if enrollment is to scale, let's just say you go 75, 80% of your enrollment, which is 30,000, 40,000, right? So you're talking about basically small arenas or mid-sized professional arenas worth of people.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the chances of somebody 18 to 22 are statistically nil, that they're going to die from this thing, somebody will. You've got millions of kids across the country.
Sure.
There are going to be
we talked about that.
college-age kids that are going to pass away from this thing because if you put that many people out there at some point, somebody's going to get really sick and somebody's not going to make it. Are you ready to play football that same Saturday at a particular university where that happens on the Big Ten Network? Are you good with that? In that, maybe it happens in Columbus and the game's in Columbus that weekend. Are you able to do that? Because you better be able to do that. You have to be prepared for that possibility.
I think at this point, a lot of people would tell you they are, but of course, to say that is one thing, but then when it actually happens and there's a name and a face and a family, that does tends to affect you a little bit more than a hypothetical.
And the hard part here is there are plenty of illnesses that do this, not to the infection scale like this one, which is going crazy, but there are plenty of kids around every semester around campuses in the Power 5 that unfortunately go to the student facility, the health center like Thagard, or they end up in a local hospital and they don't make it. They don't make television, but that's a reality of life as an administrator. But to juxtapose that with the hyper focus on COVID, that's tough. That's really tough. And making that all work for all parties involved, somebody's going to be the first to do it. It's just a matter of how it goes.
I keep clamoring to find out who's paying for all this. I'm still looking. We've been talking about this for some time now. Those tests aren't cheap, and when we talk about big picture stuff like we're doing now and trying to paint the picture of what things are going to look like, that's part of the equation. Like, well, okay, so we're going to do this testing, and some people are going to test positive. Can you stomach that? And there are all these other aspects and fallouts that come from that. But also, there will be how many schools can afford to do it?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I've got family who is an administrator of a school up in New York, which it's not in the city area. And the conversations they're having are really interesting. It's nothing unlike what we're having down here. It's just that, that obviously when you look at the case count in that state, it's a lot higher. But the places that they have to go, the protocols they have to prepare for, the idea of a cafeteria is not the same as it was just this past February, where a bunch of people congregate and you get to the cool table or not. You can't do that anymore. Staggering the school day. Well, what strain does that put on the teachers? And then preparing for it, because it's grown-up talk. This is grown-up time, right? Preparing for a teacher who may get sick and die, a child who may get sick and die. What do you do in those circumstances? The numbers say somewhere across the country that's going to happen.
Yes, it's a much bigger conversation, more than we're prepared to have right now. I worry about that every day because my wife works in the school system, and I know a number of elderly teachers that are scared to death to go back to school. I mean, and I get it. If you're 67 years old and you're teaching at a middle school or something,
and you need the paycheck,
it's awful.
There's no good answer.
There's not an easy answer, that's for sure. There's not, because we also can't continue to distance learn for a lot of these kids in certain grades. It's just not working, and they haven't adapted, and it's led to depression. And you see it. I poll because I'm the father of a 12-year-old who was in middle school, and when this all went down, I poll all my friends, and they talk about their friends, and I'm asking everybody I know who has a kid in school, how are your kids adapting? You're just seeing a number of kids that were great students, straight A students that now are really miserable and didn't adapt and didn't do the work and are failing. And so there is a compulsion for many to say, we got to get these kids back in school, partly because the parents have to go back to work.
Well, that's the other thing, too. How about the parents who are depressed because they're overwhelmed by having to do, even though it's at distance in some lucky cases, they can log into their desk via VPN if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
That's to say nothing of people who can't do that and work by the hour, and now they're out of work.
Or they're out of work and their kids are at home, and yes, we're in dire straits.
And you can't feed them? I mean, what the hell happens then?
Oh, boy. Well, we didn't want to start the show this way. Football may be back, Tom, and you got to go and ruin it with all these dire facts. And
listen, all I'm saying is where these two things intersect is at the university president and athletic director's level, you had better be having these conversations and
without question,
be ready to handle tragedy because it's going to be part of the business.
I do worry, and this is not meant to take a shot at David Coburn in any way, but this was thrust upon him. He was not an athletic director, really wouldn't have been a candidate. He was a stopgap measure. And I'm not saying that he's incapable, but I am saying this was not the role he was suited for. And, at some point, I would like for us, post Dave Hart, to have a competent athletic director who's done it before and has, a ton of experience and a vision and is going to be there long term. Florida State hasn't had that in forever. We've had slappies. We've had people, well, I apologize, but we've had people that were puppets. I couldn't do it, could I? I had to.
Slappies. Please tell me that when we get our next one. Please tell me, sir, you're not a slappy. Welcome to the show, by the way. This is the Jeff Cameron Show.
Yeah. Boy, that just went everywhere.
Rich Smith is our new athletic director. Rich, are you a slappy?
I'm looking at the resume. Did you say his name was Rich?
Yeah.
Looking at the resume there, Rich. It would appear, given your 14 years as being an athletic director in Power 5 conferences, that you are not, sir, what I would dare term a slappy. You, sir, rather are an experienced, accomplished, real athletic director. Not a slappy at all.
Creation with an image. Just credit time for showing up again. Attention wandered, I'm left with it. Gone by sin.
Not all law firms are equal, so here's why Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey and let us put our reputation to work for you.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Planning on expanding or renovating your home or business? Did you know that these construction projects start with preliminary work such as professional sets of drawings and proper engineering? Before you apply for financing or sign a lease agreement, allow our team of contractors, architects, and engineers to assist you with planning and budgeting. Hello, I'm Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I am here because we want your project to launch on the right foot. Call us today and we will take care of your construction needs. We aim to provide work that will exceed your expectations, guaranteeing picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
Your home has been a place of great comfort. We can help you keep it that way. Barno Heating and Air is helping you get ready for summer with $1,500 off select new units, 0% financing for qualified buyers, plus worry-free maintenance plans. Learn more or schedule online at BarnoAC.com. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barno Heating and Air today. Florida license CAC 1816186.
AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping remind you to prepare your property for hurricane season. If you have trees on your property, it is crucial to have them inspected before a major hurricane. Contact AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping today, 385-3319, that's 385-3319, or online at AAATreeExperts.net, AAATreeExperts.net.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
We've talked about this before. When a bank gives you $100,000 by mistake, do not go spend that money because you're going to get into a lot of trouble for it. But an Albuquerque teenager found $135,000 in cash next to an ATM. What would you do, Stugotz?
Finders keepers.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Seminole headlines.
Brian writes, is there a better song we can play going into fourth quarter than Eastbound and Down? I love Burt and all, but don't think this song is catching on. I hate to say it, but the Gators got this right with Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down. It's fun and the whole crowd gets into it. Any suggestions?
That's a tough situation. It's a tough situation.
It's a tough situation. You're not going to outdo Tom Petty. That's going to be a tough sell, and there is nobody that, musician-wise, graduated from Florida State, that wrote an anthemic song that the country loves.
Isn't Creed a Tallahassee band?
No, dare even mention it. That one of the worst bands ever assembled. That this should never happen.
Just imagine, though. Try to imagine this, Jeff. You're in a 21-20 game with Miami.
Yeah.
You've got Miami's driving.
Yeah. And
at the 32-yard line. You go to the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
With arms wide open, you're motorhead. I mean, the whole crowd would be singing that song, Jeff. Miami would just melt. They would melt into a puddle if they heard 80,000 people singing or 20,000 singing Arms Wide Open.
If you want to have fun, go look up that ridiculous Marlins anthem that the lead singer from Creed wrote. It's unbelievable. And the Marlins actually played it. It's one of the worst songs you have ever heard in your life.
Was there a theme song to The Longest Yard? Because that was a classic Burt Reynolds football movie.
It was, yeah. I don't think there was a theme song that I recall. No.
I think it was With Arms Wide Open.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Obviously, the NFL made a grievous error when they decided to allow for pass interference to be reviewed and thus made a mockery throughout the season of not only the Rules Committee, but also, in many cases, affected the integrity of the sport. I thought oftentimes we were watching a charade. It was embarrassing. And Troy Vincent, who is the executive vice president of the league for the rules, if you will, said in essence that, that's not even going to appear on the agenda for an owners' conference call today. That's today, meaning Thursday, to vote on rule proposals. They've got new rules. They're getting rid of some rules. They're adding some rules. This is the day that gets done. They're not even allowed to talk about it. They've just removed it, and they're hoping it quietly goes away because they blundered terribly.
I'm thankful for it, I got to be honest, because now I know what I'm dealing with my head coach.
You don't have to worry about him constantly challenging things that are not going to get overturned.
That's good. That's the good part. You get timeouts back, strategy back. You can use 2-minute situations more to your advantage because you're not an idiot. And maybe there's a legitimate challenge that you can use one of your coach's challenges on and you get it right. But I just know to always be on the defensive because this guy could do something crazy at any moment. I mean, it was putting your finger back in the electrical socket over and over
again. ESPN officiating analyst John Perry saying at the end of the day, the NFL does not have a safety net to fix a game-changing, egregious missed call heading into the 2020 season. That can't be in today's world. I don't know. The game is still played by human beings, and it's officiated by human beings, and I think more people than you realize would accept that a poor call affected the outcome of a game because it happens now. It happens even with replay all the time. We see very questionable calls that affect the outcomes of the games. What happens instead is when we're not reviewing every single play, the game moves along at a brisker pace. We see a better flow and rhythm to the contest we're viewing, and I think by and large, officials, again, they have a very difficult task, at least in the sport of football in particular. I think they do a decent job. I really do. I think they do a decent job. I think more than anything else, you have to side err in the side of letting the game be played. It's a gladiatorial sport. The guys are going to hit each other illegally. Guys are going to hit each other in ways that under the rules, technically, if you were to go back and look at it frame by frame, might be a penalty. People don't want to see all that. They want to see football. And we know what football is. It's violent. And the people playing football know it's violent. And they got into the game a long time ago understanding that it's violent.
Yeah, to me, I think a lot of people who have watched classic games see what the flow of a game used to look like in multiple sports. Baseball is the biggest example, but football is another one. It's a legitimate one when you don't have, TV timeouts for 2.5 minutes for injuries and then reviews. I mean, college football had it right initially when they said that the booth was going to initiate. Let's stop with the coaches stuff. You get one, but it's not, if we see something, we'll blow it dead. But the problem is they are far too eager to hit the button and stop play. College football is insane about that. Where the NFL is wrong is they're trying to get into subjectivity. I mean, it was a one-year experiment, but anybody could have told you. Anybody on the street.
Everybody did. Everybody yelled at them and said this is going to be an unmitigated disaster. Troy Vincent admitted it. He said the other day when he was asked about whether or not this was going to come up at this meeting that they're having today, he said, we failed miserably. We didn't do our due diligence. We didn't think this through. It's really amazing to me that you're talking about $1 billion industry, that these kinds of absolutely buffoonish decisions made by people in very powerful positions continue to happen.
Does it? In other walks of life, the inefficiencies that we see on the corporate level, the government level, oh boy.
Yes, but the absurdity of what they tried to initiate to rectify what happened in the 2019 NFC Championship game, I get the missed interference call. It was devastating. It is stunning. But they could have, and this is what they're proposing, it's not going to happen to the 2021 season, but we said it on that Monday after that game. Look, if you're trying to avoid the over-the-top, obviously egregious missed call that affects the outcome of a game that leads one to go to the Super Bowl and the other to stay on home, all you have to have in place is an official in the booth who looks at each play after it happens, and if it's deemed, if it meets certain criteria as being 100% a rules violation that can be reviewed in mere seconds, called down to the lead official, we got a problem on that previous play. We're going to take a look at that one. I'm not talking about a fine line. I'm talking about over the top, over the line. I'm talking about the very obvious, like that was, missed call. That guy just radios down or beeps in or buzzes in, does whatever he does, and said, we need to look at that again, man. I think you got a really, really bad call here.
It would be very easy to do. I really believe that because we all go through this, whether you watch your NFL or college games at a sports establishment in the stands, or you go over to somebody else's house, you have people at your own house. We all know the people who know the game, right? Like when we sit around, we all know the people who know the game, and we know those who have commentary during the game that make you want to leave wherever you are. Even if it is your own living room. You might go upstairs and watch it on a different TV because that's stupid. That makes no sense. Stop, and that's the 5th one in a row. There should be like an ejection policy. You're out of here.
Right.
5th stupid piece of analysis. But we all, like, there are people who see it just like you do. And I don't mean your opinion. I mean the rule.
Yeah,
the
they
rule
know
being
what
violated.
the rule is, yeah.
You can find 16 dudes or ladies to sit in a booth and watch the game just like we do.
Sean Payton has advocated for this, by the way. He said it, and he's right. And we've been talking about it for a very long time. And he does cite that it affects the flow of the game, how they ruin the game. And they have ruined this game. I mean, it's they haven't ruined it enough for people to stop watching it, but boy, they've done their damnedest. Here's Sean Payton. He said, basically, look, I see a long-term future with Sky judges making real-time judgments and corrections. We're going to have a point. It's not this year, not today, but an 8th official upstairs is going to allow for this game to flow. He's going to buzz the buzzer when he feels a certain level of mistake has been made and not otherwise. And I agree with that. That is fine. I think when, again, you define egregious however you're going to define it within the rule book, you're going to say when something is so patently obvious that it would be universally agreed upon if watched by 1,000 people that was an oversight. And they need to, and you could even say it has to be a pass interference in the last 4 minutes of a game. It has to be a personal foul, or it has to be something that is of a severe nature to even review it to begin with. I'm not reviewing holding. I'm not reviewing offsides. I'm not even reviewing catch, no catch, at least in the terms of adding on to what they already have in place for that.
No, I'd replace it with this person. Because, again, if you are watching with 5 of your best friends, 10 of your best friends, chances are it's 8-2 you come to a consensus at minimum, all watching together. And I don't think it's groupthink. I think everybody's like, yep, that's a catch.
Well,
Next thing you know, pass is ruled incomplete. Not call stands, not nothing. It's like incomplete, confirmed. And you're like, no.
Yeah, no,
this cannot be. This cannot be.
You have to look at only the plays where it would be 10 out of 10. I mean, what I'm saying is, yeah, we might watch plays where 7 of us would say to the other 3 that we think that's a catch and they might disagree. We're not reviewing that play. Whatever was called on the field is going to stand in that situation because that's not clearly egregious.
I'm just saying the other 2 don't know the rules. You know. These are the rules, man. These are the rules.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that it would have to be so obviously a catch or not a catch that the Sky official would then say, whoa. Yeah, guys, you may have overlooked one here. Double checking real quick. Yeah, that's a catch. Go give him that 2nd and 2. That's it.
Right. That's the other thing is if it's a centralized person, you don't have to have the damn timekeeper with his book. All right. Let the book be a backup and let the guy in the booth tell you that there's 11:43 on the clock. We don't need to roll it back a second and a third time to determine and confirm how much time is left on the clock.
It's just the worst.
And the spotting of the ball. One person can do that off of one replay from the TV truck. It's not hard.
I never thought we would come to this place, but that's where they're at. They stop it on every play. They got to get the time, the spot. They got to do 15 things when they should be doing 1.
I also would turn over the job of spotting to that person.
Well,
allow them to do an immediate replay. I mean, listen, maybe in the hurry-up situation in college you might not be able to do it, but in the NFL, you radio down to the line judge.
So, again, the rule would have to be that the only time you're radioing down, we're not arguing about an inch. First down, no first down. That's the only time I'm looking at a spot. I don't care. No, I'm not looking. Listen, I'm not looking at 2nd and 6. I'm not doing it. Should it be 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 7? I'm not stopping the game to review that.
Nothing is more frustrating than watching a geriatric pace down the sideline.
Change the rules as to how old you can be and what kind of shape you have to be in. Get better officials in there, I agree, that are capable of keeping up with the sport. I'm not reviewing a second quarter spot in a 7-7 game as to whether it's on the 30 or the 31. I'm not doing that because I want the game to flow. Just let's go play football.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the age thing. I just create a course that if you're old enough and you can handle this, and you've got the stamina.
You could be 80 and you're running the marathons, fine.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to have a certain quickness.
But 3rd and 1.5 versus 3rd and 3 because you can't catch up to the play is a huge difference. That makes or breaks everything about the play call.
Well, I agree. We got to get better officials, but I'm not reviewing that. Under my system, you're just going to have to be pissed off.
It's not a review, though. You are the voice. They don't spot it. You tell them. You radio down to the umpire in real time, and you say,
but they're
going
to stop the game to do that. And I'm trying to end stoppages. Wherever I can, I'm putting an end to stoppages. We're playing the damn game. I watched football for years in which they missed the spot by a yard or two. Now, it's not ideal, and they don't constantly miss the spot. Most of the time, we're arguing over a fraction of an inch. But when you miss it by 2 yards, that is an egregious violation, if you will. At that point, fine, buzz down. John, you spotted the ball at the 30. He was down at the 24. What the hell are you doing? I'm calling down for that. I'm not calling down for a foot. I'm just not. I mean, I get it. 3rd and 1 sucks compared. 3rd and 3 sucks compared to 3rd and 1. I'm probably not stopping it for that.
I'll meet you in the middle if you get me better officials, and we'll give it a try.
We got to go.
But if they suck too, then we need to do this from above. Or God forbid, we get the freaking laser.
Well, we want the lasers.
The laser chip
Get the lasers in there. I'm in on the lasers. I'll give you that. But I'm not stopping games anymore. I want these games to be played in a timely fashion with a flow. And I think the players do and the coaches do. You'll live with the occasional likely missed call. It tends to iron itself out over the course of time, You're going to get some you didn't deserve. You're going to lose some you didn't deserve. And, that's just the way it's played. I used to see it all the time. I mean, even when I played junior midgets, you'd see a referee just not catch up to the play, and he'd spot the ball a yard behind or a yard ahead where he should have. But whatever, you move on, you call the next play, and you live with it. People are fine with that. It's the over-the-top mistakes that we want to correct. It's obviously my man tackled that guy, 6 yards before the ball got to him. We're going to have to call that. That's a problem. You missed that one there, Steve. I'm radioing down to tell you that. Also, if if he was out of bounds or inbounds, if we can determine that very quickly with the guy in the sky, fine.
All I'm saying is if you use the right people, that process that you're talking about where they radio down wouldn't take very long. It'd take 20 seconds.
Well, I agree with that. I've never understood what they're watching 47 angles. I can usually tell, you can too, most football viewers can, where that ball should be, whether it was a catch, whether he was in or out, whatever it might be that we're reviewing. You can usually determine that inside of 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. It does not take long at all.
Right.
Usually the first or second replay you go, oh, no, he wasn't in. Oh, yeah, he was in. Good call. You usually can know pretty quickly.
Or you say it's not a first down, it's 3rd and inches from the 37, 11:43 on the clock, spot the ball, let's go. And did you get all that? Because if you didn't, you're fired.
Yeah.
Come on.
Set of steak knives. It's the Jeff Cameron Show.
And the shining path that leads to God's own dying sun, straight from the fire down below.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Planning on expanding or renovating your home or business? Did you know that these construction projects start with preliminary work such as professional sets of drawings and proper engineering? Before you apply for financing or sign a lease agreement, allow our team of contractors, architects, and engineers to assist you with planning and budgeting. Hello, I'm Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I am here because we want your project to launch on the right foot. Call us today and we will take care of your construction needs. We aim to provide work that will exceed your expectations, guaranteeing picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336. Hey, everybody, it's good news, and we could use some good news right about now. Getting family dinners to go with curbside pickup at Bumpa's, well, it's easy to do, and it's all day, every day. You're going to want to pay with a credit card, bring your own PIN to sign the receipt, And they want to thank you, so do I, for supporting your local restaurants when they need it most. By the way, if you call, it's 850-999-8652. And here's Rick Pitino to give you the menu items.
Pasta alla vodka. You get chicken, garlic bread, and it's a nice round price. Secondly, you got 20 wings. You got chicken fingers too, fries, onion rings on the side. Nice, also good for the family of 4. 2 racks of ribs with mac and cheese and broccoli. You could sub in some fries or rings if you want instead too, but those racks of ribs, absolutely delicious. Just beautiful.
Or you can order, Rick, from the regular menu. It's bumpus349.com.
The whole shebang.
AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping remind you to prepare your property for hurricane season. If you have trees on your property, it is crucial to have them inspected before a major hurricane. Contact AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping today, 385-3319. That's 385-3319. Or online at AAATreeExperts.net. AAATreeExperts.net. Oh yes, you've thought about it, but now it's time to enjoy the moss-drenched live oak, rolling hills, and pristine greens of Southwood Golf Club. Our friends at Southwood Golf Club offer individual, family, and student memberships, and now offer the all-in membership. That's right, never pay a cart fee when you play. Don't forget, at Southwood Golf Club, it's not just about the golf. Hit the clubhouse for brunch, or maybe enjoy trivia night, live music, happy hour, and all-you-can-eat night specials too. For membership information or to join right now, just call 850-942-4653. Southwood Golf Club is ready to make you a member. 850-942-4653. Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Golic and Wingo.
This playing out in the court of public opinion ultimately ends up benefiting no one.
I agree.
Like in the normal course of negotiation, you're right. The ability to go out here, when I first saw that this plan was put out there, I went, I can't believe Major League Baseball would put this plan out because it's going to put the players in the spot where if they push back at all, they appear greedy. Yeah. And that's usually the goal in these things. And now going back the other way, the players, and we'll get to Sean Doolittle among them, bringing up a lot of the health and safety reasons, is the perfect rebuttal of that to bring this and make this about something that's so universally right now understood by people. Will the NBA and the PA look at this and say, you know what, it's probably better if we do all of our planning behind closed doors from now on and don't come to the table until we all agree on something, because there ain't no win with the look we got.
Golic and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Redemption Thursday, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Got a do-it-yourself project that needs to be finished? Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Avenue in Tallahassee and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Online at ctf.nu.
Jim Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. What crime, Tom? I thought about this because of something that I was reading about last night. What crime would you say that is? I wouldn't say it's a victimless crime, but it kind of is. What victimless crime? Because I'm not talking about
arson.
I'm not. I'm certainly not talking about violent crime against anybody, but crimes that don't, harm you and me, such as bank robbery, let's say, or something like that. Like,
yeah, but it could hurt somebody.
It could. That's what I said. It's not complete. Yeah, it could. But what crime do you find fascinating and like to read about? And okay, because I'm going to admit something here. When certain people get away with crimes, I love the stories when it happens. If you were able to mastermind, like in Heat, when they would rob things, not the killing, you don't want to kill anybody, but if you can mastermind like a major robbery and get away with it, I can watch movies, I can read books, I can see specials, documentaries about stuff like that all day long. I find it fascinating. And there have been some huge heists that they still don't know who did it. They still don't know, and the person got away with it. Could be art, could be whatever it is, right? And had you ever heard of the Loomis Fargo bank robbery that took place back in 1997? Do you know this story?
No.
So it was a Loomis vault supervisor that did it. He's the supervisor. He sent all of his employees home and then loaded $17.8 or $17.3 million into a truck and rode the hell out.
So the supervisor says, y'all can go home.
Yeah. He sent everybody home early.
3-day weekend.
So he told everybody on the evening of October the 4th, have a good day. You guys, I'm letting you out early. He and his co-worker, who was also his girlfriend, Kelly Campbell, and some other folks, and by the way, Stephen Chambers is another guy, who was a former FBI informant. They loaded up the money, and they were able to, eventually they caught up with him, but years later he went back to watch a movie about the crime that he had gotten away with. It was, I think it was called Mastermind, and the dumbass went to see the premiere, and he got caught.
That's how they got him?
I'm pretty sure. I need to get a greater handle on this, but...
No, heists, I think, qualify. Remember Great Train Robber, whatever his name was?
Right. Oh,
Bobby
that's
something?
right. Yeah,
Great Train Robber.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Jewel thieves, people who can, get into high security museums or displays and somehow walk away with the crown jewels, whatever it is. That stuff interests me. Absolutely.
I got caught up in this. I need to go back and learn more about this. I didn't see what I wanted to see. There's a special out on this, and I saw a glimpse of it last night, and now I'm absolutely fascinated. And I didn't know about a guy taking $17 million. But there have been other crimes like that where people got away with it, never to be caught, and nobody ever saw him again.
How about Inside Man? What a good movie that is.
It is a good movie, yeah. Man, I don't know. I go down these rabbit holes. I'm sorry. I was thinking about it. I didn't know about that heist in 1997. It's the supervisor. Rode the hell out. Went to Mexico, by the way. Got away with it. Now, eventually he was caught. But when he crossed the border, you want to talk about a problem. Something about when you cross the border, you can only have a certain amount of cash on you. And so he took $50,000, which is the maximum by law that can be taken across the border without further authorization. So he took $50,000 with him and left for Mexico, and he ended up in the Yucatan Peninsula at a resort island like Cozumel or something. Is where he ended up. Mm-hmm. And anyhow, he was the prime suspect, and he was convicted. They eventually caught him and all of that. But that reading or taking a cursory glance at that story led me to want to then further investigate more stories in which people got away with incredible crimes. And I'm not talking about violent crimes. I'm just talking about things like that.
If I had to guess, the FBI informant was the person who hatched the plan, because an FBI informant is a former, wise guy, right? And so he can't handle being straight and narrow anymore. Even if it is, he's living a double life. He needed an out, and here was his chance. Coming this summer.
Yeah. There's a case in England that is still ongoing where they have these smash and grab robbers, and it's a team. And they go in like the malls. They'll just straight up drive a car into a mall, crash through the window, boom, 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 walk out with $1 million worth of jewelry. They all wear masks. Right out. They've never been caught. They've gotten away with it a lot.
I'd like to see if there are pointless thefts, things that make no sense. Like a crime wave that went through the Big Bend of the country, right here in our own backyard. And for some reason, bowling alleys were knocked off for the bowling balls that are used by the community. And they're all out of bowling balls. I'd like to find a guy who just steals weird stuff, or a lady that steals weird stuff. And it makes no sense.
Tremendous.
Not profitable in any way. And the next thing you know, they finally get him. They got a storage unit somewhere full of used bowling balls.
Years later?
Years later.
Well, cold case crimes, whether they are a murder solved or a missing person, or in this case, somebody steals a bunch of bowling balls, these kinds of things, I am fascinated by cold case crimes that are solved 40 and 50 and 60 years later. And they're solving more of those than ever before because everybody's willingness to submit their DNA for the ancestry stuff. And you're reading about crimes that have been solved that were committed 75 years ago. It kind of pisses you off, though, because sometimes you learn what they already suspected to be true, and then the guy got away with it and lived his whole life because they didn't have the technology. Now they do. They go back. He licked an envelope at some point in his life. They have that. They find the DNA. They match it. Oh, the son of a bitch did kill his girlfriend. We knew it.
He died 20 years ago.
Yeah, he died 20 years ago of a heart attack, and he was 62. He lived out his life. That makes me mad when I read that stuff. But I love when they put the cuffs on an old dude who thought he got away with something. You know, he committed a crime in 1974, and now they bust his ass, and he's living in like Topeka in the middle of nowhere, thought he got away with it, started a whole new life. They walk, knock, knock, boom, got your ass. Let's go.
There's a situation where a baton may come loose in my hand, you know, as I'm escorting that person.
Well, if it's a violent crime, especially if they hurt a child or something like that. Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, your shoulder can't handle that? Neither could the child, you piece of crap.
You're serving as jury and judge, and
no, I'm barely transporting
the prisoner.
Just making sure I didn't. I didn't feel safe. He was threatening.
I'm telling you, it used to bother me that we didn't know who Jack the Ripper was, and we still don't. But that there were crimes. Obviously, one of the most famous. The Zodiac Killer. They've made movies about it. I've read 2 books about it. Everything else.
I knew we'd get to crime where people were severely hurt or.
Oh no, I'm just talking about cold cases now. Yeah, now that I do like. I will read about that stuff. But yeah, the Zodiac Killer. A couple of suspects, primary suspects that you've read about over the years that are promising, but they've never been able to get them. But I used to think there are certain crimes I'm gonna go to my deathbed and never know who solved it, know who committed them. But more and more, the more you read, you realize there's a chance they're going to solve, 100, 150, 200-year-old crimes because DNA, you're able to trace it back. It's amazing.
Yeah, the stories that are heartbreaking to me, but that I like, anytime I see a headline, is DNA evidence exonerates somebody who served prison sentence for 25, 30 years.
Heartbreaking
They're
stories.
terribly heartbreaking, but, it's a silver lining. It's not the whole thing, but it's a lining.
No question.
Those are fascinating to me because then you see
eyes up to a lot of things
you
about
see the criminal justice
system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important stuff.
Oh, it's very important. I'm not saying it's not. And I read those stories. I'm like you. I gobble them up as soon as I see something like that. But these ones were a guy where he's clearly a victim of racism or systemic racism or clearly a victim of really antiquated views of solving crimes. So
it's usually one of 2 things. It's either shoddy police work or, yes, the system out to get a certain type of person.
Well,
no doubt.
A lot of times, yes, there's an overabundance of those cases.
There are some circumstantial cases where you're like, well, how about that? But that's not the majority of them.
Right.
He didn't do it.
The worst is how many times in yesteryear, before we figured out that it's completely unreliable, but how many times we convicted people with eyewitness testimony. There have been a number of people dating back to the 40s that were able to show that it's not only is it unreliable, there's just a very good chance, and people are compelled because they don't want to look foolish. If you bear witness to something and somebody asks you what you just saw and you're unable to give any kind of details, you feel like a dumbass. And so you're inclined to embellish and just make stuff up outright. And they prove it in all kinds of experiments where a teacher will be at the front of the room, a professor talking to a class, and they'll arrange it so a kid comes in and, acts like he's dropping off a notice of some kind and then does something like pulls out a gun or a knife or something and then runs out of the room. And then they ask you, what was he wearing? What did he say? How tall was he? Was he black? Was he white? What kind of hair did he have? And all that. And people 60% of the room get it wrong.
Yeah.
No idea what they just saw 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. That's the premise of My Cousin Vinny, right?
Basically.
You ever seen the fan thread that says that they actually did it and that she was just bluffing and the guy didn't want to seem stupid? The guy who was a car executive said, well, you're absolutely right. And they bluffed their way out of it.
I've never seen that.
No, it's a tough thing to stick, but wow, what a dark twist that would be.
It's a cool twist if it's
Ralph
real.
Macchio got away with it.
All right. We'll get it back on the road here in a second. Jeff Cameron, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's time to unite, Tallahassee. After years of our great local restaurants serving us, it's our turn to serve them. With this simple purchase of gift cards, we can help them survive the financial toll of COVID-19. Buy them for yourself, your family, or as gifts. No doubt we'll all have a reason to go out and celebrate soon as we safely can. Go to hungertohelp.com and show your support for the heart of our community today. This message brought to you in part by your local Tallahassee radio broadcasters.
Not all law firms are equal, so here's why Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey and let us put our reputation to work for you.
Text us to receive up to 5 marketing texts sent via automated technology to your number. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. Membership automatically renews. Cancel anytime.
Hi, you ever heard of Beachbody On Demand? Hold on a second. Here is your free membership. I'm Carl Deichler, the CEO of Beachbody, and I just sent a free membership to another customer. And I'm giving away 10,000 free memberships a week to anyone who texts me right now to try our new Beachbody On Demand fitness and nutrition app. Just text the word JOIN to 303030 to get instant access to all $8,000 of our best-selling fitness programs like 21 Day Fix, Insanity, P90X, T25, and PiYo. These programs really work, and this is your one chance to try them for free. Just text the word JOIN to 303030. That's JOIN to 303030 right now, and I'll send you your own free membership.
Hey guys, how are you? This is Eddie from Gordo's Restaurants and Bumpa's Local 349. I just want to let you guys know that we here in the local community love to have you back. It's 25%, we know, but we're doing the best that we can to serve you and do what we do the way we do it. Same great food, a little bit more space. And we're not the only ones. There's lots of local restaurants out there. Just remember, eat local, drink local, be local. Come see us.
Attention Tallahassee, Phase 1 is Phase Patio at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill will be serving up the coldest, crispest refreshments and their signature delicious jumbo wings, all while adhering to responsible social distancing. You know this is the best time of the year to sit on the outdoor patio or deck, so make the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachie Parkway your first and most frequent stop for Phase Patio. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Order takeout today at cptallybar.com. That's cptallybar.com. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
The good folks at AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping say it's time to prepare your property for hurricane season. It's crucial to have trees inspected before a hurricane. Removing dead or hazardous trees and limbs is your best protection against property damage. Don't be reactive to the weather. Be proactive. Have your trees professionally trimmed or removed before it's too late. AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping has been providing tree inspection, trimming, and removal in our community for over 30 years. Call AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping at 385-3319.
Escúchame, it is Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Let me tell you, I feel badly for Larry Jordan. I mean, first of all, your brother's Michael Jordan. Second of all, your name's Larry. Like, there aren't very many names, Stugotz, that I could give you. Larry Jordan has appeared for like 7 seconds in this documentary, and I'm sure they talked to him for hours, but that's what it's like, being Larry Jordan.
His entire life.
It's got to be terrible, right? I mean, I guess it's great if you got a good relationship with your brother.
Did Jordan have anything nice to say about Larry Jordan?
I didn't hear anything nice about Larry Jordan. I was just surprised Larry Jordan got dressed up, did the interview. I'm sure spent a lot of time talking to them, and then they used 2 very short clips that merely allowed me to look at him and say, man, it must stink to be Michael Jordan's brother and be named Larry.
The Dan Le Levitard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hey Tallahassee, this is Danny Eiler and Matthew Crowbaker. Join us for the Saturday Morning Bottle Share every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Redemption Thursday, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Got a do-it-yourself project that needs to be finished? Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Avenue in Tallahassee and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Online at ctf.nu.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Good afternoon. Thanks for listening to us. My name's Jeff. Tom produces the program. You guys are listening to it. Now we all know our roles. By the way, this show is also on YouTube, and meaning you can listen to it currently. Still not able to watch. One of these days, Matthew will be forced to work. On Twitter, it's at J. Cameron Show, WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. We'll post all 3 hours to iTunes and on our website after the program ends. The news came today that the Premier League, if that's your cup of tea, is getting started again on June the 17th. Project Restart. That's the name of it. It's cheesy, I know, but that's the name of it. Project Restart. They got the green light, and there was a shareholders meeting, Tom, and they all said, let's go. Let's do this thing. I'm losing out on millions of pounds.
Except they said all of that with a British accent.
That's right. They did. So it's going to happen. And listen, as we've seen already, live sports carry the day. They typically do anyhow, but these days, anything. Manufactured, made for TV, sporting events, cornhole, you name it, everybody's rolling to it. So you get actual competition amongst the world's elite in anything, and we're going to watch. That's true. I think there's stuff to learn by what we've seen with the match and what we had down there at Seminole Club as well. I don't know how much of it they can use, but we talked about this when Tiger was able to relive with Jim Nantz the Masters victory, and they had him go through and give commentary hole by hole with Nantz as it aired and checked in with him in between shots and so forth. I thought that was fantastic, but I would imagine these little gadgets, these little things that they have figured out for programming purposes during the time of COVID, some of these things will last and we'll all be better for it as we consume our entertainment differently, just like we do lots of things differently coming out of this thing than we did prior to COVID-19. So I am wondering if this leads to greater access where they can across sports, because I think people were hungry for getting even further inside the game. You know, we live in a time, and this was all before this most recent development, but we lived at a time where you were already getting unprecedented access. You know, you think about it, wasn't all that long ago where the idea of interviewing coaches as they came off the floor in a basketball game would be considered absurd. Certainly talking to a coach on a football field as he came off at halftime or before the game, or both like they often do, would be considered crazy talk. No coach is going to allow for that kind of access. No coach is going to take the time during moments of real intensity to sit and talk to a sideline reporter. And yet it happened, and now it's commonplace, and we don't think anything of it. And from that time to this time, they've made incremental changes to the way they broadcast in order to give us greater insight, further and further along into the game itself, amongst the players, amongst the coaches, gleaning real insight. And this did that during those broadcasts. We really got to see something that we seldom see, which is the banter and the dialogue while an event's going on. Now, that was for charity, and the shots really didn't count for anything. So I don't know what they're going to give us, but I hope it's across the board in all sport, and that includes Premier League. The more audio you can get from players and coaches, the better.
Well, I think in a time where you don't have fans, it's certainly the case. I think when we get back to the sounds of the game, which the fans matters so much.
That's true. Good
Premier
point.
League, hockey playoffs, college football, you name it. These are all events that are, playoff baseball is a completely different sport.
Completely different sport. And in many ways, I don't like it nearly as much as I do a regular season baseball game. And in other ways, I absolutely love it because I view it quite differently, like you said. I'm able to kind of separate the two.
Well, think about 2 strikes, 2 outs. It's like the second inning in a game, and you're the home crowd, right? So I guess that'd be the top of the second. People are out of their chairs waving the towels if they have them, or just clapping and cheering like for the 3rd strike. That'll never happen in July. But it's that experience. You get charged. Like, that's 96 down the middle, he swings through it. We see strikeouts all the time now, but in the playoffs, you're fist pumping with the pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
It makes everything all the better. But
dramatic.
You got to fill it with something, and not fake crowd noise like Fox is trying to do. You got to fill it with something, and I think player chatter would be better. It's just, I think, honestly, when you get to the broadcast networks, FCC's got to chill out a little bit. You got to let these players talk a little bit.
Well, players are going to be very, very protective, and I understand that too. They understand, players do typically, especially in individual sports. In many ways, they're their own brand, and so they have to be responsible for that. And, they've screwed Tiger over the years by having that audio pick up everything he says after a poor shot. And they always used to pretend, the networks did, that, they were terribly sorry that you had to hear that. Well, they wanted you to hear that. They have a delay. They could have beeped that out. They could have made it so that you did not hear him say GD after he yanked one into the woods. But they wanted you to hear that. They know it's titillating, that it's salacious, that people will react to it, that it'll cause a stir and chatter will emerge from the broadcast that, hey, did you hear what Tiger said? People go back and watch it, all that stuff. But I think if I'm a player, I got to really, A, trust the producer, and B, really know, like, what kind of relationship do I have with my caddy? What is our talk normally like? There are plenty of caddies and players that talk in a way that they wouldn't mind being mic'd up. They talk on the course because they're mindful of fans, and so their interaction is pretty reserved. Then there are others who have a relationship like, say, you and I on the golf course, where we talk about anything and everything, and words that are used that cannot be broadcast.
If we ever did like a podcast where, it was just experience the golf course with us, we'd have to cclean it up even for that.
Probably.
For that.
I suppose, yeah. There'd be certain stories we wouldn't be able to relay. Like just certain anecdotal moments in our lives that we wouldn't want to use.
You leave that on the fairway of the 8th hole.
That's right.
Leave it on the fairway.
You leave that there. I do love that, whether it's Southwood or Killearn or any number of the other fine courses in this here town that we've played together, all of them at varying points have heard things. Certain elderly couples that live on the course have heard things that they probably should not have heard.
I'm more apt to get carried away in a conversation. You are more apt to just yell weird stuff when a tee shot goes awry. I think that's the difference. I've been caught rhetorically speaking, with my pants down.
Right.
When we're in the middle of a conversation and I'm just into the conversation, and then
my man,
water your lawn.
You are out there.
You're on your own property, and you heard that. That's your property.
Yeah,
you belong there.
Yeah,
and
you didn't need to hear that.
You didn't need to hear that.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Well, if you live on a golf course, you probably hear lots of things, including my utterances with certain shots. And I don't know that it's weird. I mean, I think it's probably predictable.
Sure.
Occasionally there's something weird, humorous.
Well, I like when people get mad at each other. And every time I go home to Palm Harbor, my folks live on the 4th green of our course.
And they get mad at each other? The old guys do?
Oh, yeah.
For what?
You're gonna
stirring?
You're going to give me that one? the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And you're just like, ooh.
Money on the line.
Yeah, it must be $5 on the line.
Yeah. Ooh. They've ratcheted up the stakes. Here we go. That's within the leather.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. Absolutely. And then there was one guy, he had a hip replacement. This is when I was working there and living home in the summer. And he had one of the cups on the butt of the club, so he didn't have to bend down to go get the ball, so he could just and go get it. And the one guy called him a name, and he said, "You got to learn to bend down with that stuff. That's ridiculous." And I was like, "Holy shoot!" And then I ended up serving them for lunch later that day. I was like, "Oh man,
this is good. That's
Sir
good stuff.
Bill, you roasted him." He's like, "Well, he deserves it. It's ridiculous."
Well, I think there's real enthusiasm as we talk about how sports are going to look and sound and all that stuff, because you had the NBA, you have two NBA teams, Portland Trail Blazers included in that returned to practice just a couple weeks ago, and now that's gearing up, and now you hear the Premier League's getting started. You've already had a couple teams in the ACC talk about dates in which they're going to get going with workouts and all that. So, again, that momentum that we keep citing at the beginning of shows during the course of the week, that's not really halting. Hockey's place is in plan. Hockey's plan is in place, if I can speak. So yeah, we're getting there. And now we just need baseball to get off their ass and figure things out.
Yeah, the hockey plan is it's full go, and as I understand it from down there, they're looking at late July, early August. That's when they actually want to start playing the games. What's interesting is you looked at a certain wagering site and you saw that the specific date was July 29th.
July 29th, and I would like my money from that specific wagering site. I bet on the Bruins to win the division, and they now officially have done so.
Right.
And I want my money.
Yeah.
And they have not paid me.
That's why you
they
went
will be
there.
getting a call. Yeah, that's why I went there. Right?
I heard the 24th of July, 29th is well within reason. Apparently they need 3 weeks for training camp, and then they just go. You get into the qualifying round. They are very careful not to call it a playoff. You know why? Because they don't want a 24-team playoff when regular season, regular action, COVID-free action returns. They don't want this to be the door to open up to a ridiculous playoff format, even though it's already kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, July 24th, and you get 2 months of that, and then you're looking at, 2 to 3 week ramp up for the NBA once they get into camp, right? Then you get 2 months of the NBA. Dude, August, September are going to be freaky. They're going to be amazing. So many different sports.
All I can think about right now, and I agree with you, Tom, I'm taking all that in, but all I can think about is college football. Just we're in a unique situation because we have a new coaching staff that I'm excited about. Now, I know I was excited about the last one, but they failed us. They failed miserably, and we ended up being wrong about that. We thought they were going to be better than they were, and they weren't. But that's okay. I can still get excited about the new staff and the upcoming season, and I was so worried, especially early on when all this was happening, that we just simply weren't going to have a season. And the thought of that, given what we do for a living, plus our passions, holy moly, that scared the hell out of me. And now that there are real signs that they're going to have some semblance of a season, it may be shortened, maybe with or without fans, I don't know, but that they're going to play something, I'm just so eager to see it that all my thoughts return to that sport. We could be talking about golf. We could be talking about Premier League. We could be talking about basketball. We could be talking about Major League Baseball, whether they're going to return. Invariably, all roads lead back to me thinking about college football.
I guess it's not the right response for this market, but I'm going to be honest.
You're not thinking about it at all?
No, I'm thinking chronologically. What can I watch and consume first that I care about?
Well, soon enough, you're going to be watching actual PGA Tour events.
Right.
Now, that returns on my birthday.
And I think it's
it'd be my birthday when that happens.
Happy birthday to you. We could take the day off and sit on a deck somewhere and
watch golf. We could, yeah. I think it sounds like a plan. I think that that's a day where I'll receive many of the listeners' gifts. And in addition to that, your gift, and then of course, in addition to that, we'll take the day off. It's going to be a wonderful birthday, June the 11th.
Listen, I saw a place that serves what looks to be the original style Margarona, and I think we need to go there.
You saw the original style, not these fake ass Margaronas that I've seen around town.
No, and I saw that they're 2 for $1.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. I found that yesterday, and I think maybe a little PGA Tour golf and some Margaronas.
Hello, Uber.
I don't know how you feel about rideshare right now, in terms of the safety.
To throw on my mask and we're good to go.
I will accrue favors and tell my lovely fiance
that she's the driver.
It's Jeff's birthday. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? You got to drive us around. That's what we're doing.
Going for 2 for $1 Margaronas. That's what we're doing.
It's going to be a crazy time. Lots of golf, celebration of all things Jeff, and margaritas.
But one victory at a time. PGA is going to be awesome.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Premier League. I mean, Saturday mornings. All right, we've got something.
Yeah, I'm watching.
It's a crime that there is no golf this weekend or next weekend. You got to wait 2 full empty weekends without golf.
Man,
that hurts.
it's killing me.
It's a barren desert.
Well, and I will say this, beyond all the jokes and stuff about my birthday, June 11th is right around the corner. My birthday is rapidly approaching. But I would tell you, Tom, that one of the reasons that I'm so excited about golf is what we just saw at the match. Tiger Woods looks phenomenal.
Yes, he does.
His swing is less mechanical. Like when he gets stiff, when his back tightens up and he's unable to. He has a certain gait about him when he's clearly not right. But when he's right, that swing is silky, and he was controlling everything off the tee. He could take it left. He could take it right. He really did have not only the imagination but the ability to execute. Golf, I roll my eyes because people say this all the time about any number of people and or teams. Oh, well, baseball's better when the Yankees are good. Football's better when the Cowboys are good. And people say that sort of thing, and I usually go, oh, whatever. If the Yankees suck from now until the day I die, I'm fine with it. It doesn't make baseball better that they're good. But I do think golf is better when Tiger's good. I really do.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, he's such an iconic figure, a transcendent player. It really is a case where you need him as the benchmark, as the measuring stick for the young guys. And the fact that we're able to get the tail end of his career, where he's still playing at a very high level, just won a major a year ago, obviously, there are courses he can compete on still. And if he's healthy enough to go at it with, obviously, a Brooks Koepka or a Rory McIlroy or a Dustin Johnson or any of those elite players that are younger, man, it's the best of both worlds. You get everything there. And I think he's going to have a good year. Now, it's going to be limited, but he's going to have a good year.
Well,
I want to see it.
That's the two things that are the hard parts. Number one, he's on his home course. You tend to play a lot more comfortably when you're on your home course. Number two, he's fresh. And when you look at this compressed schedule that the PGA has rolled out with the majors back to back,
that could be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the weather's going to be better for him than listen, if he wants to win a PGA championship, this is the year, because it's going to be back to the warm weather. If you want to win a U.S. Open, this is the year. I mean, it's going to be hot as hell. But the problem is you've got PGA Championship, U.S. Open staggered on top of each other, and then you got a Ryder Cup mixed in there, along with some big priced
events. I really
events.
wonder about that Ryder Cup. I don't know that they're going to play that. That is the one event of all the events for golf where I would say is really adversely affected by not having fans. I mean, it's going to be weird already without fans, because we forget, by the way, and this is true of all sports, so big picture, even if you don't like golf, when we talk about holding these events without fans, Tom, it's not only going to be a weird look and something we're going to have to adjust to, but we'll happily do so. We'll be really excited to watch sports again, so we'll put up with some stuff, but we will miss what fans provide. And these are momentum shifters and moments where you drain a 27-foot putt and you're pumped up and you fist pump and you're taking that momentum to the next hole and you're a shot up or a shot down and it's a big moment and the fans are into it and you ride that high on into the next swing, on into the next hole. That's all gone. You're going to have to create your own. It's amazing to see.
I could tell you on a very small level how it impacts things, because I've been to the Seminole Intercollegiate here in Tallahassee. And when it was held a few years ago at Southwood, I followed some of the Noles as they went out. A little tough stretch of holes on the back nine of Southwood, 11, 12, 13, 14. And a couple of those particular greens, I was far enough away that nobody was there. Nobody's watching those greens because you have to walk a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I wanted the exercise. And the guys are just putting and they're interacting with each other, no problem. Then they get to a green where there's 10 people, just 10 people. Mm-hmm. And if they miss the putt, they drop to their knees and all their theatrics. It only took 10 people.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. They miss a 6-foot putt. The other one, they're just like, damn it. They walk up, they tap it in.
You said yes, damn it. You didn't say what people think you might have just said.
Oh, yeah. I said, damn it.
I know.
Yeah.
It just sounded a certain way.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Well, the second one, 10 people. That's all it took. And it's like,
yeah, it's the classic.
To the ground.
It's the classic, an object viewed is changed, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so absolutely. Yeah, people change their behavior just knowing a few people are watching them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it also affects their swings, their thought process, their mental state, the rest of the round. I mean, fans interact with players in ways that maybe we don't realize, and that'll be something that is kind of fun to take in, but it will be awfully strange. It will be a sterile atmosphere.
What's interesting to me is, what do you do with that weekend if the Ryder Cup goes away? Do you fill it with one of your big corporate champions of the PGA Tour? I'm sure they'd like that. But what if the 17th green right now over in Sawgrass is under construction, or they closed it on the 20th whatever of April? It's back open just after July 4th. What if you flexed in the players?
Flex in the players, baby.
Flex it in.
Let's go. Let's get to flexing. I'll go over. Oh, I'm not allowed to watch the play.
You're not allowed to. But, I mean, just put something big on the schedule. It was already going to be really tough anyway for the top players in the world.
Flex it into the players. I like it.
And then move the Ryder Cup to 21 and be done with it.
Yeah, well, they should just announce that now. I feel like that's something you could get out of.
I'd prefer it one way or the other.
I know
because I've
got tickets.
Quite a few dollars, like
wrapped up in
listen,
that.
if they say, well, honor your tickets next year, then I'm fine. But I also have other dollars tied up in it that I would prefer to free up right now. It would be nice.
Here's a reminder as we go to break, and it's completely random, that there's a player who plays for Ohio State, and he's at running back, and his name is Master Teague. Just thought I'd tell you that because it's really cool. What a name. Master Teague. Sounds dangerous.
Any position that's of skill, he could play.
Yeah, absolutely. Linebacker, running back.
Safety. Woo.
Master Teague's a fine receiver. Master Teague wouldn't be a good quarterback.
No.
And that has nothing to do with any sort of stereotype. Just Master Teague, that's not good. No. Justin Fields, who is their quarterback, is a great name for a quarterback.
He wouldn't be a good defensive tackle. He wouldn't be a good quarterback. Wouldn't be a good guard. Wouldn't be...
He'd be a fine defensive end. He'd be a very good linebacker. He'd be great at safety. You're absolutely right.
Really good corner.
Yeah, I think he'd be fine at corner. I don't think a Master Teague would be a good tight end at all. No.
He'd be a badass fullback.
He could be a badass fullback, but I think he's better suited as a running back. In terms of who he really is, he's a very good running back, and we know who he is. He had 789 yards just last year on limited time.
The world's greatest special teams returner. Master Teague.
Yeah, Master Teague taking it to the hizzy. Well, Master Teague has been biding his time behind Dobbins, and now we'll get to a full dose of Master Teague. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Can I play with madness? Holy Jesus.
Not all law firms are equal, so here's why Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey and let us put our reputation to work for you.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier, full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
The good folks at Triple A Tree Experts in Landscaping say it's time to prepare your property for hurricane season. It's crucial to have trees inspected before a hurricane. Removing dead or hazardous trees and limbs is your best protection against property damage. Don't be reactive to the weather, be proactive. Have your trees professionally trimmed or removed before it's too late. Triple A Tree Experts in Landscaping has been providing tree inspection, trimming, and removal in our community for over 30 years. Call Triple A Tree Experts in Landscaping at 385-3319.
The Florida Lottery has awarded nearly 900,000 Bright Future scholarships and counting. That means Bright Future scholars are everywhere.
They're doctors,
Teachers.
scientists.
Even artists.
They are shining in every field imaginable. And every day, more students are preparing for their moment in the spotlight. With Bright Futures and the Florida Lottery.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You think baseball is going to get their act together? They're doing a good job of remaining off-putting on a hourly and daily basis. There is no shortage of individuals who feel compelled to tweet something ridiculous or, even if accurate and a valid point, unacceptable to the common man, common fan right now, just desperate to see their games return and disinterested in watching the arguments between billionaires and millionaires over who gets more of the pie. And you got to be mindful of that. There are a lot of smart guys out there, even smart guys that have tweeted really dumb things. It happens. We all make mistakes. I just don't get it from either side when I see high-profile players ostracize fans by not thinking. And your Twitter feed, you can say whatever you want to say. I don't get offended by virtually anything, so it doesn't bother me when somebody tweets something that I disagree with. That's fine. It's their Twitter feed. Do whatever they want. I'm not one of these dumbasses who's going to quote tweet it and read and go crazy and all that.
Hey, stick to sports, buddy, okay?
But what I'll say is, just from the standpoint of your brand, which is nauseating, but when you're a big-time athlete, when you're a superstar in a sport, it is something certainly your agent would like you to think about because he's pitching you. You have opportunities to make millions more dollars with other companies that are going to work with you. And when you come out and do things that alienate fans, and I'm not talking about having an opinion about social injustice or anything like that. Listen, I'm fine with all that. But I'm talking about being tone deaf as it pertains to this kind of argument we're seeing now between the owners and the players that can keep baseball from being played. That's the quickest way to lose people, man. I mean, people can disagree with you politically. People can disagree with your use of language. They can disagree with any number of things. They'll come back. They're fine. They get it. I mean, most people are a little bit thicker skinned than maybe they appear to be on social media. But when you are in many ways thumbing your nose at the person that purchases those tickets and thus obviously contributes greatly to your salary, people get very, very angry in a quick manner. And I'm just surprised that there isn't pause because there's nothing that can be gained by, let's say you're one of the top pitchers in the game and you tweet out that the owners are attempting to capture too great a piece when it's your back that they're relying on and all of that, right? And you go on a diatribe about this. Why would you do it? What is it going to serve? It doesn't do you any good to do that. It's just providing the ammunition that fans need to hate your ass forever and to hate the game. Baseball should, if I were commissioner, if I were Rob Manfred, I'd tell the people on my end and the players, no public communication about this negotiation. It doesn't serve either side for us to do this. It doesn't serve the best interest of the game for us to be bickering on Twitter. We look ridiculous. The fans hate both of us. If anything, we're just further ostracizing fans who we desperately need to come back to the game.
Yeah, I was watching a Buster Olney interview yesterday, which was during a KBO replay, which they don't ever show just the game. There's always a freaking guest. It's like a night variety show with baseball on the side. Yes. And I don't know who made that decision, but they suck for making that decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's awful.
You can't watch it.
You know what you can do?
Mute the hell out of it.
You can listen to KBO Baseball on the MLB network on SiriusXM, and it's Boog Shambi.
Oh, really?
And he's great.
And he's just calling the games instead of having Buster followed by...
It's just him and Eduardo Perez, and they're calling the game. And I drove home last night after doing the golf show with Trey, and I listened to KBO Baseball, and he called it straight down the middle like it was a regular professional baseball game. It was great.
He and Eduardo are the guys that are doing the ESPN broadcast in some regard with guests left and right.
Ugh.
But Buster's interview was interesting because I was actually more interested in that than the actual play-by-play for this one instance. And Buster's talking about the specter of next year and the December 2021 expiration date of the current collective bargaining agreement. If you didn't have that hovering over this process, it probably would be a whole lot easier. But because it's getting ugly, independent of COVID, as you're approaching the end of the collective bargaining agreement, and make no mistake, 18 months away from that, in the terms of a CBA negotiation, is like tomorrow. That's close. So if it hadn't gotten so ugly about that thing, then this might have been easier to navigate. But because everybody is posturing for the next argument, this one has gotten so ugly and deteriorated. Think about the minor league baseball argument that was happening before these things went public. We did the segment on that, about how they want to contract 40 minor league baseball markets.
Yeah.
And how that's not going to fly all that well in the face of the public. This is the owners specifically. But every one of these little topics that comes up about players' rights or owners' rights, the last 2 years has been ugly. And that's because they don't think that they're going to be able to hammer out an amicable agreement when they actually need to put the long-term thing together, not this short-term plan. So it was already toxic before they began.
You got to start by getting this done by hook or crook. I mean, we are this close to June the 1st. You have got to get this done. Let's go. If you're trying to play baseball in July, you have to get this done now. I get that this is posturing. I get that you're worried about the long term in baseball. We got time to work that out. We don't have time to work this out. You have to get this done. It's not fatal, but it's devastating to baseball if they don't play and it's over money.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's no doubt. And there was one thing that Eduardo said to Boog on the way out of the interview with Buster, which was, listen, I've been in the union before. And it's much more layered. These things are always much more layered than just, arguing over the money. There's a trust factor. There's transparency. There's safety issues. There's the rights to what you can do away from the game. Like there's a number of things that the players and the league always go through. But all the fans see is one thing. And that's the hard part here. Sitting on the outside and working in the industry and seeing, the public's perspective. They don't understand how layered it is, and they don't care, nor should they. And that's where this whole thing comes to a head. But it's clear that, basketball and hockey and football have decided to do things in the dark because they know that it's a no-win scenario. And if Don Fair gets that as the NHL's head, and he's the guy who...
Yeah, he engineered the whole deal in 94.
Well, if he gets it, then shoot, that's a message that everybody should get.
It's just, if you have a strong commissioner, listen, David Stern did this better than anybody, man. He put the kibosh on all communications when the league was having a problem with players and players having a problem with the owners and the union. Any of those kinds of debates obviously debates over how they collectively moved forward, they were all done behind closed doors. The second things got acrimonious, he stepped in and went, oh, no. There will be dire repercussions for those that break the silence that I am now calling for. And as commissioner, he did have that kind of autonomy to be able to do that, and he would use it. Now, when you're running a league, you have to have that. You have to have a strong commissioner who has a very good idea of what the public sees and feels about any number of issues that you're dealing with internally and how best to handle that. And because they're so good in the NBA, and they have been for a very long time, of allowing players to be individuals and to speak out on issues and do any number of things, they would acquiesce to those kinds of demands by ownership and by the commissioner when it was called for. I just don't know that relationship is in place in baseball at all. It clearly seems to be a gulf between the players and ownership and certainly the commissioner.
Well, when you look at certain owners who are not going to pay the stipend to minor league baseball players of $400 a week, right, for the year, and it would cost their organization like $1 million for the year, and this is a $100 million business for per franchise. You're talking about 9 figures, and you can't front 7 to help your minor league talent that's eventually going to sell tickets for you on the major league level. You can't help them for $400 a week?
Right.
Are you kidding me? When you see that, I can see why the players get angry. And then I know the numbers are crazy, but Mike Trout was set to make $37 million this year. I mean, it's absurd, but he's one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, I don't care what he's set to make. You get you're worth whatever you can get somebody to pay you.
After the prorated agreement which is 50% slash, right? Assuming 82 games. See, the players are pushing for 100, by the way.
Right.
Half season, so you get half pay. All right, after that, and now the next wave that the owners would suggest and demand for the players, he'd be making 16% of what he was set to make for the year. I could see where that frustrates you. It's a simple message. They just don't know how to deliver it on the player side.
Well, listen, I've never said or denounced a player who's frustrated by the set of circumstances they find themselves in, professionally or otherwise. I mean, it's terrible to not being able to play the game you love or to go work at the profession that you've dedicated your life to or make the money you'd like to make. We're all enduring lots of unique sets of circumstances. I get it, but it doesn't do you any good to bitch about that publicly.
But if the argument that Trout makes is, listen, you're asking me to take an 84 or 83 and change % pay cut to play half the games, are the owners actually only making 15, 16 cents on the dollar?
You're all right to ask all of those questions about what's truthful, what isn't from the owner's standpoint, and you can ask them to show you the books. I get it, but none of that has to play out publicly. And again, I would say this. If you really think about the situation they find themselves in, if you're Mike Trout, yes, it stinks. You're not going to make $36 million. You're going to make a few million. You got to understand that doesn't resonate. That's not going to work with fans.
But he's not wrong.
Well, he might be. If they're able to show the books and they're not going to have money coming in at the gate because these are games going to be played in front of no fans, I don't know that he's right. Let's find out.
I would trust this is the difference. Now, we argue about billionaires and millionaires, right? I would trust a millionaire more than I would trust a billionaire, to be honest.
Of course. Listen, the
more
owners,
money you make, the less I trust you.
I rarely side with the owners in these situations. Rarely. Because the owners are always trying to screw players. Always. But in this situation, again, we have never experienced in our lifetime anything like this, unless you're listening to me and you're 102. We've never seen anything like this. So these are extraordinary circumstances. And you're going to see not only each player and owner and obviously commissioner effort to get these games in. They got to make some money. They obviously they're doing everything in their power to either complete a season or start one. But it's going to require a lot of concessions, extreme concessions, things that you never thought you were going to have to do on all parts. While you're figuring out just how much you have to give and how much you have to meet them halfway and what's the right number, and I get that that's going to be debated, you could just keep in mind that it's not a good look to have that debate publicly. We look at the numbers, look at the job numbers, look at all of the people that are hurting in this country right now. Just be mindful of the fact that there are people who are not going to not make a few $1 million, not going to make a damn dime. They've lost their jobs. They're scared to death. They're caring for kids and you're out here debating about whether or not you're going to make $4 million or $7 million. That's just stupid. And I don't begrudge you the money you make. I'm not one of those people who say players should never make that money. Yeah, they should. They have a unique skill set. And it's demanded. And because there is a demand for that skill set, and so few people have it, thus they get paid handsomely. I understand it. I get that that's what happens with actors and other fields and all that stuff. But you have to just use common sense. You know that dude down the street, well, maybe not the neighborhood they live in, but most of the dudes down the street are hurting in ways that he's never going to hurt. At least not financially. You just can't do it. And I see it every day. And it's not always the players. It's been a few times either Rob Manfred or others say things on social media where you're like, oh God, did you have to say that?
Right.
There was a strange force that pulled you to your phone and forced you. We've all sent stupid tweets. I'm not saying that. But just specifically this debate is nothing could be gained by that.
Well, it's rooted in two things, though. I largely agree with you. Messaging is way off. Don't get me wrong, but I always hesitate to fully blame the player's side of the argument because
I do too. Typically,
it got to this place for a reason because there is mistrust between the two sides.
Yeah,
and typically in that context, you're looking at the billionaires. You are looking at the ownership. That is the problem for the mistrust. It's not the players. They don't have the leverage. The only leverage they have is to go public like this, where the owners can hide behind Commissioner Manfred.
Yeah, but I would argue here going public is the wrong play. You're not going to gain support. Nobody's going to side with you. I mean, there might be a few exceptions. Maybe you're one of them. Very few people are going to read those quotes and go, yeah.
If the messaging is correct, I think you might score some points. You just need to say, hey, listen, show the books. It's like, and here's what I'd do. I'd pivot and I'd say, like, whenever you want us to build a stadium for you, you cry poor. And
of course
somehow,
they do.
Look at you. People are buying in, and the Marlins can sell for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Believe me, ownership is not the side that I'm standing on here. I'm talking about both of them looking silly, but more and more on a daily basis, I see players go to Twitter specifically to argue their point, and I just don't understand. And some of them are seemingly smart guys. Scherzer and those guys, what are you doing? What do you do? What's the point of that? You can say that to your union rep. You can talk to Tony Clark and say, hey, man, we're not doing this. You know they're screwing us. Stand strong. But you don't have to tweet that.
Right. Where I think the whole process is stupid is this is all a negotiation, and it's just taking place before the public, meaning that these are all tactics that you're supposed to try and piss off the other side in a negotiation until you guys can hammer out an agreement, but it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
It is. Typically, an agent handles it when you're just talking about a contract.
Yeah, and if you're an agent for one of these guys, you're telling them, shut up.
But I think what's happening is that even this segment, to a degree, where I'm jumping in on it, but I think the media is all taking part in the negotiation, where it's like, dude, this is normal procedure.
Yeah. A lot of times they're using the media. I get that owners leak things and they're trying to discredit players.
The fear and the panic thing, I in the end, as much as I think it's a problem with messaging, and I blame the owners a lot, we're talking about percentages.
Yeah.
I mean, like when the report came out last week about 90-10 the players would have gotten, and they were talking about let's do 50-50. Those are parameters.
Mm-hmm.
Now we want to get between 50-50 and 90-10. That is the clear signal being sent. I think it's going to get done.
I just worry now because you're seeing those that cover the game whom we do respect, like Buster Olney or Jason Stark or Passan or these other guys. All these guys are coming out now and saying, well, yeah, I think it's going to get done, but it's starting to get a little dicey here. This is acrimonious in a way that probably goes beyond what we thought when they originally understood the gravity of what was at stake of playing, not playing at a time like this.
I think there's truth to that, but I also think they're starting to look at their bottom line and say, I'm not going to have a sport to cover. I better put the pressure on them. No, well,
you might be right.
Seriously, you're
might be
affecting
right.
their money now.
Yeah, you might be right. Sure.
Well, the good question from Boog yesterday to Buster was, hey, man, well, what if in the beginning of the 2021 season, you can't have fans? And let's say in April, like they just go month by month. No fans in the stands or limited attendance. Let's say they cap it at 10,000 a game. Well, that's really going to hurt in the big markets. And now the owners have to go back to the players again and say, we don't have attendance. You've got to take a pay cut. The gate is 35-40%.
Right.
What happens then? Like the CBA renegotiation, I think, is the big problem. They'll get through this because they can't afford
afford not to.
But what this is doing towards December 2021,
it's going to be but you have till December of 2021. Let's go. I mean, if you and I recognize it, certainly people within baseball recognize it. If you know this is going to be a terribly difficult negotiation for very valid reasons on both sides, you kind of need to do that now. Get started with this now. They always wait to the last second because they want a sense of urgency. They want to force the other side to buckle, and when you get closer to the line in the sand, the drop dead date, you can create that kind of tension. But it really is foolhardy. It's a little bit like our politicians. I mean, they used to operate and have very different ideas about how to run the country. But they would reach across the aisle to negotiate a deal, understanding that it's more efficient to run the country that way than to solely stand your ground in a way that never allows for anything to get done. These negotiations, this happens all the time, and it drives me batty. Like, you guys know that 2021's looming, and there are very real disagreements, and we're going to have to come to an understanding. First of all, we got to define our terms. Let's just define our terms. Let's start there.
I think that's all you can do, because you got to take a look at the economic repercussions of what we're going through.
Right.
You don't know what the numbers are going to be,
well,
so you can't even divvy up the pie.
That's fair, but you can define your terms well in advance and say, this is what we're going to be talking about, debating, arguing, whatever you want to call it, describe it as. That's what we're going to be arguing. It's this percentage, it's this, or whatever it is. You can say that. Now we just need to know what that number is. Who knows? We'll see. I don't trust baseball. It's pretty clear I don't.
Well, yeah, the lesson of the 90s and however many work stoppages there were in the 70s.
They screw
this
up all the time.
But this one, you got to play. If the players come back and say we want to play 100 games, I think that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
It's a great sign. Good. Play 100. Play 162. Let's go. play. Have some days where you play 3 games. I'm not worried about your health. Let's go. Entertain me.
Family is big around here. We're family owned, family operated, family managed. And that means legacy. That means dependability. That means using Grainger. With over 1.5 million products and knowledgeable product experts, Grainger has whatever we need. And with same-day pickup and next-day delivery options, they have it whenever we need it. For over 90 years, businesses like ours have trusted Grainger. Because, like family, Grainger's got our back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention Tallahassee, Phase 1 is Phase Patio at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill will be serving up the coldest, crispest refreshments and their signature delicious jumbo wings, all while adhering to responsible social distancing. You know this is the best time of the year to sit on the outdoor patio or deck, so make the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway your first and most frequent stop for Phase Patio. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Order takeout today at cptallybar.com. That's cptallybar.com. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
This spring, I'm making Everyday Earth Day by incorporating small actions that can create big results.
Like what?
Well, I'm starting with daily habits. Turning off the lights every time I leave a room, shutting off the tap when I brush my teeth, and unplugging electronics when I'm not using them.
Those are great ideas our whole family can do.
And since we're home more, I could also use your help with a few one-time projects that could benefit us long-term, like fixing water leaks and installing our rain barrel.
I'd love to help. Right after I call the City of Tallahassee Utilities at 891-4968 to sign up for paperless billing.
Excellent! Tonight, let's ask the kids if they have any ideas about what we can do to save energy, water, and money as we celebrate Earth Day at home.
2020 marks the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and there are many things TLH can do to celebrate at home. Get inspiration at tlhcando.com. Small actions create big results. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities.
Hey guys, how are you? This is Eddie from Gordo's Restaurants and Bumpa's Local 349. I just want to let you guys know that we here in the local community love to have you back. It's 25%, we know, but we're doing the best that we can to serve you and do what we do the way we do it. Same great food, a little bit more space. And we're not the only ones. There's lots of local restaurants out there. Just remember, eat local, drink local, be local. Come see us.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Redemption Thursday, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Got a do-it-yourself project that needs to be finished? Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Avenue in Tallahassee and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Online at ctf.nu.
I had a chance to talk about that match the other day, last night with Brant Packer, and I bring it up because he mentioned it was probably a good thing that, and you mentioned this too, buddy, it's probably a good thing that Tom Brady didn't play very well. Got it together on the back line a little bit, but it would have been awful if we had a certain tan line and it was a 2 handicap. He would have been spending far too much time golfing at that point. So it was kind of good that he looked like a football player.
Yeah, he looked like a football player, all right, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like the brightest guy in the foursome.
And, I could never get a read on Tom Brady. I don't think he's dumb. But I don't think, I'm not telling you he's an intellectual elite. I don't know where he's at.
Not that. He's not that.
He's definitely not that, no.
No. He's a jock.
You thought he came across dumb?
I think he has multiple times in his career.
Well,
he's also insane.
Well, yes, he certainly does push his workout
He's
method.
selling immunity pills. I mean, they have nothing to do with COVID, sir. But just, they started last week. Immunity pills out of nowhere. Okay. Okay. Right. That's like the concussion water he sold years ago.
He didn't sell the concussion water. Wasn't that...
No, he said, I feel completely comfortable with the fact that, I could drink
concussion
this.
water?
I'll pull up the...
Come on. Really?
Oh, the guy's at skis, man.
Well, he certainly will. He's a whore. He'll sell anything. I got that. And he certainly does market the heck out of those useless products. And I get it. It's up to us to discern the difference. There are a lot of people that push dumb things for money. I'm just kind of... He didn't pull... who was it? There's another quarterback in the league that was pushing something crazy, and I can't remember who that is now. It's going to drive me nuts. Russell Wilson.
Oh, he's also nuts.
Yeah, wasn't he talking about some sort of holy water or something nonsense like that?
Okay, so it might have been Russell Wilson's water. Tom Brady sponsored an anti-concussion powder called NeuroSafe.
Yes.
NeuroSafe makes me feel comfortable that if I get a concussion, I can recover faster and more fully. There's no other solution on the market today that can do what NeuroSafe does.
But I was right. It's Russell Wilson's water, man. Go look up the Russell Wilson water.
It's that extra level of protection that gives me comfort when I'm out on the field. Go to hell, sir. That's ridiculous.
That is fantastic. I hope he does so unabashedly in Tampa. I want him to play the role of the insane marketing guy.
The ad trumpeted the drink as the, quote, seatbelt for your brain. And now he's got immunity pills that have nothing to do with what's going on now. They just they help your immune system.
Well, no, it's the company that has the immunity pills. He's not saying he produced immunity pills, but it's
I'll pull that up. This guy's so unlikable. He better win.
I'm telling you, I would like you to tell me about Russell Wilson's miracle water. You keep glossing over that because he said it. It was insane. Some sort of water, and it wasn't alkalinity. I don't remember what it was, but he was...
Brady's alkalinity. Yeah. And he's got space blankets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The pajamas, the pajamas that promote alkalinity.
Yeah.
Retailing at $45 for the immunity blend supplement called Protect. It's TB12 wellness brand. And it just started. He has an Instagram post talking about it.
Yeah.
Just now. I mean, of all times you wanted to roll out this product.
Ask him what he did to regrow all that hair. It's really, that's the pill I want to take. Tom, tell me about the pills you're taking for all that hair.
Somebody commented on it. Florida man attempts to stop coronavirus with home remedy. Exactly right.
That's so good. Russell Wilson, holy water concussion treatment. Tom, please find it. I'm telling you, that was one of my favorites of all time. You're right. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs,
They should
too.
call it Russell Wilson holy water.
Oh, by the way, that's the quarterback we should have signed.
That was the crazy thing. Here's the headline. Russell Wilson claims he healed a concussion with the miracle water he invests in.
The miracle water?
Yeah, miracle
water.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Reliance Recovery. It's only $3 a bottle, not $45 for the immunity pills.
Yeah.
I banged my head during the Packers game in the playoffs, and the next day I was fine. It was the water. Quote unquote. That is not the Onion. That is not the Onion. And then a tweet. I believe recovery water at recovery water helped prevent me from getting a concussion based on a bad hit! ! With hang on, the Halo smile emoji.
Oh my God.
Hashtag nano bubbles.
That's crazier. I'm telling you, that's crazier.
That was before he said that the Super Bowl interception was all part of God's
plan.
Will.
Yeah. Oh, that's rich. We're living in crazy days, my friend.
So he could never blame
people
Pete Carroll,
believing
then.
in fairy tales.
He could never blame Pete Carroll.
No.
You can't
For
blame
the play
him for the call. You can't be mad at him if it's part of the plan.
Yeah. I'd like to have that discussion. I'd like him to have that discussion with Marshawn Lynch. Tell him it was God's plan, Marshawn.
Yeah.
We didn't get that ring. I didn't give you the rock. I had to throw that pick. Jesus.
You know what would happen?
Decided.
Swoop. You'd be on the ground.
Oh, that is good. That is.
I enjoyed it. Now, Tom responded like great champions do. I saw that. But I was glad to see that he was getting roasted, and he didn't like it. That was good. That made me feel good inside.
He did respond, though.
He did.
It's impressive.
Actually, the most impressive shot he hit was the 180-yard, the 16th.
Yeah.
When he sticks it on that par 3. Because I think he leads off the group. If he didn't, he goes right after Phil, and he sticks it closer than Phil did.
The back nine, he hit quite a few good shots.
Yeah.
And the one he holed, obviously, is a brilliant shot. But I'm not even talking about the fact that it goes in is luck. But the shot itself, the swing, the relative ease and fluidity of that swing, it looked like a professional swing. He stood over the ball and hung in there.
Well, the hard part of that swing, too, is that he's got his mic pack falling off his back as he's executing his follow-through, which could be a real problem.
Yeah, and he executes it. And then he was funny. He talked smack back. To Chuck.
It didn't make any sense, though.
Suck on that, I think he said.
No, he said, take a suck of that. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I suppose it could, but that's not a phrase that anybody really utters. Who?
It's uniquely his.
Right.
I kind of like it. I'm going to start using it.
Get out
I'm going to start using it. That's my man, Tom Brady, Buccaneers quarterback. My man. Tampa Bay, baby.
Oh, that's so bad. It's so bad.
It's awful. It's awful. I really want bring that nonsense to Tampa, man. There are so many stupid people in Tampa. He's going to sell the hell out of those immunity pills. I mean, can you imagine all those road hard, put up wet Pasco County? Those guys are coming to buy some immunity pills.
Yeah, I want some Tom Brady immunity pills so I can look like Tom Brady.
I want Tom Brady to give me the pills for the hair. I'm buying them, Tom. What'd you do?
What about that concussion Nero whatever?
Yeah, Nero.
So that way, Emperor Nero something?
Just some Nero.
So I can ride my ATV, crash it, and be fine.
Yeah. And my kid can, too, more importantly. We're going out this weekend. Yeah. That's like, I love it. All those areas of just outside of New Tampa, as they call it. Some winners out there, buddy. Some winners out there.
Let's go back to Lita Kemper. Hudson.
He just kept naming that. I was like, yes. He couldn't stop.
He knows where he lives.
Yeah, that was rich. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Barry knows school, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows school, you can put him to the test.
Your home has been a place of great comfort. We can help you keep it that way. Barno Heating and Air is helping you get ready for summer with $1,500 off select new units, 0% financing for qualified buyers, plus worry-free maintenance plans. Learn more or schedule online at BarnoAC.com. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barno Heating and Air today. Florida license CAC 1816186.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all-day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Family is big around here. We're family owned, family operated, family managed. And that means legacy. That means dependability. That means using Grainger. With over 1.5 million products and knowledgeable product experts, Grainger has whatever we need. And with same-day pickup and next-day delivery options, they have it whenever we need it. For over 90 years, businesses like ours have trusted Grainger. Because, like family, Grainger's got our back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Not all law firms are equal, so here's why Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and let us put our reputation to work for you.
AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping remind you to prepare your property for hurricane season. If you have trees on your property, it is crucial to have them inspected before a major hurricane. Contact AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping today, 385-3319, that's 385-3319, or online at AAATreeExperts.net, AAATreeExperts.net.
On demand and live streaming. The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Redemption Thursday, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Got a do-it-yourself project that needs to be finished? Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Avenue in Tallahassee and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Online at ctf.nu.
All programs. This is Radio Clash on Pirate Satellite.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com, and on YouTube, where you can listen to the program. Can't see us. Got a bright shirt on today. You would be shading your eyes if you were looking at my bald head with this bright red shirt. That's just an aside, so you can envision the look while you listen intently. Yeah.
Trying to place that color.
It's not quite red and it's not quite orange.
Right.
It's a weird color.
Well, you know,
I wouldn't wear orange, but anyhow.
As kids, I do all the time. The
I
Mets.
bet you're the Mets. Yeah.
But as kids in the Crayola box, you had red, orange, and orange red, two different crayons. And I think that's more orange red than red orange. But I'm trying to place it on something else, any other sports team that ever existed, and I don't know that I can find one.
No, I don't think so. It's not. Yeah, it's weird. I think at the time that I bought, it's an Adidas golf shirt, if you're wondering. I think at the time that I purchased the shirt, I think I bought it because I needed a new golf shirt. Mine were all probably, sweated. You like that? Sweated through. And I was like, I need to get about 5 or 6 new shirts, and this was on the sales rack at Edwin Watts, who advertises with us. And I went in there and I went, thanks, Edwin Watts. That's normally a $65 shirt for $30. I'll do it.
Boy, the sales are that good.
Yeah, they have. We got a mutual friend over there, and occasionally they see it's me, and they.
Oh well, yeah.
And but also they do have a rack that after a certain amount. Hey! After a certain amount of time, they put it on the half off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Because, listen, this is the time of year when if you're going to go out golfing, you're going to sweat. Mm-hmm. It's extraordinary. I was pissed last night, man. So 85 degrees last night after it poured down rain. I'm driving out to do the golf show. Beautiful sky, but then it did not belie the weather, right? You saw the sky. You thought, it's a gorgeous evening. No, it's not. Not gorgeous at all. Pretty sky, hot and muggy. That's what it was. And I got angry. Thinking about what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, this morning, I opened up my eyes. It's whatever it is, 6:30, 7 o'clock. So, that little blue dusk or dawn light is coming through. It isn't quite colorful yet. And I think it's raining outside because all I see is that light through, just water on the windows. That's just the steam. That's just the morning steam. It wasn't dew. It wasn't fog. It was steam.
Steam!
Mm-hmm. Looked like Reggie White's head at Lambeau.
Yeah, Lambeau. Yeah, that's a classic. Boy, I have a lot of football I want to talk. I have off and on today. We're going to do it again. In fact, I'll probably derail us momentarily, and we'll do long form here in the next segment of some football thoughts. I've got more and more as the day goes along. I'm getting excited for it for reasons that seem to stem from the information that, Clemson starting back up on June the 8th. It's all voluntary. I got it, but it's just we're moving towards this, and I really do. Not even because I think we're going to accomplish any great stuff in terms of winning a division or going to a college football playoff or anything like that. That's too grandiose. I don't think we're anywhere close to that just yet. But I like the staff. I like the way they communicate. I like what they've put in place. I like their vision. You and I have had the good fortune of talking to a number of these coaches more than once already. And there hasn't been a time in which we talked to one of the members of this staff, and they've been different each time, in which we didn't walk away impressed. Each and every time.
Yeah, the thing I like about the coaches that I've talked to is their intensity. It's not that, they'll be great recruiters. Because remember when we had the Antique Car Museum signing day show or whatever they call it with Taggart and his staff, the first staff.
Mm-hmm.
They all killed it at the podium. I mean, they all killed it.
At the podium, that's correct.
Correct. And you're thinking, man, these guys can recruit. So after that happened, and the whole seasons played, both seasons played out, I thought, all right, I'm not going to fall for recruiters anymore. Anybody can make a pitch. Any pastor worth his weight in gold can give you a sermon. But what about developing players? Because that's what we need the most right now is to turn mediocre players into pretty good players. And if we do that, along with the good players that we already have, we might have something here.
We're going to do that, Tom. They've got a track record of developing players, buddy. It's going to happen.
But to develop, you've got to be intense, and you've got to hold players accountable.
Eye on the prize.
And they all, well, not all, but just about all of them come across as the type that you don't mess with in a meeting room.
You know what you can't do if you're trying to change hearts and minds and body types and level of expertise and everything in between? You don't, and you cannot pussyfoot about. You got to come with it.
That's right. No tiptoeing.
No pussyfooting whatsoever. So this group doesn't strike me as a bunch of pussyfooters. They're guys that are going to get after it. And for that, I'm pumped.
The only guy who could do that, Twinkle Toes, before he rolled a strike in the Flintstones.
I forgot about that. Yeah, let's get back focused. I'll talk in a meaningful way about this now that I realize I screwed this up. So bear with me. That's the kind of show we have around here, folks. Where if I screwed up, I just end the segment. Tom looks at me funny, and I just say, we're going to break. That's how we roll.
Play a screwed up song, then. How about that?
Play whatever you want over there, as long as it's one of mine. No. What is this? What are you doing? No. Is this Hootie?
Oh, yeah.
Don't do this. Oh, good Christ.
And some tenderness. We'll walk upon the water. We'll rise above the mist. With a little peace and some harmony.
Not all law firms are equal, so here's why Fonville Lewis Meshmer McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville Lewis Meshmer McConaughey and let us put our reputation to work for you.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark
TSparkConstruction.com.
Planning on expanding or renovating your home or business? Did you know that these construction projects start with preliminary work such as professional sets of drawings and proper engineering? Before you apply for financing or sign a lease agreement, allow our team of contractors, architects, and engineers to assist you with planning and budgeting. Hello, I'm Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I am here because we want your project to launch on the right foot. Call us today and we will take care of your construction needs. We aim to provide work that will exceed your expectations, guaranteeing picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
Barry knows school, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows school, you can put him to the test.
Your home has been a place of great comfort. We can help you keep it that way. Barano Heating and Air is helping you get ready for summer with $1,500 off select new units, 0% financing for qualified buyers, plus worry-free maintenance plans. Learn more or schedule online at BaranoAC.com. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air today. Florida license CAC 1816186.
Not every law firm is the same. For example, you don't hire a divorce attorney to handle a foreclosure. The same goes for your insurance claim. Hire a firm that has the knowledge and experience in handling insurance matters. The Morgan Law Group is dedicated solely to this cause, fighting insurance claims that are underpaid, delayed, or denied. With offices throughout Florida, the Morgan Law Group covers claims for all hurricanes, storms, mold, fires, boats, and even sinkholes. Representing the policyholder, going after the insurance companies. The Morgan Law Group. Offices Miami, Orlando, Naples, and Panama City. Online at policyadvocate.com.
Not an employee or member of law firm.
Seminole headlines.
Brian writes, is there a better song we can play going into fourth quarter than Eastbound and Down? I love Burt and all, but don't think this song is catching on. I hate to say it, but the Gators got this right with Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down. It's fun and the whole crowd gets into it. Any suggestions?
That's a tough situation. It's a tough situation.
It's a tough situation. You're not going to outdo Tom Petty. That's going to be a tough sell, and there is nobody that, musician-wise, graduated from Florida State, that wrote an anthemic song that the country loves.
Isn't Creed a Tallahassee band?
No, dare even mention it. That one of the worst bands ever assembled. That this should never happen.
Just imagine, though. Try to imagine this, Jeff. You're in a 21-20 game with Miami.
Yeah.
You've got Miami's driving.
Yeah. And
at the 32-yard line. You go to the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
With arms wide open, you're motorhead. I mean, the whole crowd would be singing that song, Jeff. Miami would just melt they would melt into a puddle if they heard 80,000 people singing, or 20,000 singing Arms Wide Open.
If you want to have fun, go look up that ridiculous Marlins anthem that the lead singer from Creed wrote. It's unbelievable. And the Marlins actually played it. It's one of the worst songs you have ever heard in your life.
Was there a theme song to The Longest Yard? Because that was a classic Burt Reynolds football movie.
It was, yeah. I don't think there was a theme song that I recall. No.
I think it was With Arms Wide Open.
Tuesday night on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I were having a discussion earlier today, and it stems from I was a guest on a show up in Georgia, podcast. I should probably say the name of it, but I think it was the Rob, Ben, and Joe show. I really think that's the name of it. Anyhow, so I was on this show. Good guys. It was fun to talk football with them. It always is. Anytime you're doing what we do on a daily basis, it is fun. But one of the hosts there had played football at Mercer and was a particularly knowledgeable guy. And he's an ACC fan because he has family that goes to Georgia Tech, and he knows somebody on the staff, and he likes Jeff Collins. And we were talking about Georgia Tech, and we're talking a little bit about the ACC and the quest to try to catch Clemson. And because he's a fan of the league, he was saying, look, I I kind of like Florida State. They're not a rival. And growing up down here, I always enjoyed watching Florida State. And so I watch a lot of Florida State football. They usually have a primetime game. They usually have a good time slot when the ACC runs them, period. And he said, from there, I want to see the league do well. So I'm rooting for Virginia Tech and I'm rooting for Florida State. And I'm, to some degree rooting for Miami to get better and all of that. He said all of that to bring up how disorganized Florida State appeared to be over the last 2 years and how it was that there didn't seem to be discipline, a cogent plan, understanding and continuity amongst the staff. We talked about it from a football standpoint. He kept watching the sidelines and saw what appeared to be confusion. I said, well, that's a pretty fair assessment. But he was trying to glean insight as to just how bad it was, and he wanted to know what our observations were as somebody who covers the team in regards to the disconnect between the coaches or the lack of a real plan that you were pushing towards or adhering to. And as we started to discuss it, I brought up what we've seen very briefly now from Mike Norvell, the staff that he's hired. And as I was going through the staff and talking about what I believe his outlook is and what he's trying to incorporate and instill and the buy-in, well, I just started thinking that I really like the staff. And I know it's going to take some time because, look, you talk about being dealt a bad hand. The talent's not where it needs to be. You're in the Atlantic, not the Coastal, so you have to topple Clemson, which is the best college football program in America. It's hard to wrap your mind around that, but it's supplanted Alabama. It's better than Ohio State. It's Clemson. And so you've got a lot of things going against you. You immediately came in here and you were behind the 8 ball in recruiting. You're on the heels of a losing season and really a downward spiral dating back 4 years. You have your spring football eliminated. And so what we see this year, I don't think will necessarily be indicative of what we're going to see in year 2, year 3, year 4. But the more I talked about it and the more that Tom and I were talking about this today, the more excited I got for the Mike Norvell tenure. Now, maybe that's admittedly something that I'm inclined to do because I like to latch on to hope as opposed to despair. And I try to find, the better angels of our nature. And I try to find things that I know will lead to success. And so maybe I'm blocking out some of the other factors that might derail this staff just like the other staff. But I really do think when you look at how meticulous he is, the attention to detail, and the removal of uncertainty for the student athlete, for the players themselves, I think you're going to get the most out of what you have right off the bat, even with this set of circumstances. Now, acknowledging that you're not good enough on the offensive line to win the line of scrimmage against the better teams. And you're lacking depth. You've got some talent at the skill positions, but you're lacking real depth. You've got segments on the team that are simply just not good enough to beat good teams. But I do believe you're going to win the 50-50 games because there's not going to be great uncertainty as to what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it. And certainly on a daily basis, kids can see that there is a very distinct plan being put in place for them to follow. And, when you think about it, Tom, the most successful people in business or really any walk of life, a lot of them, when you read about their backgrounds or you read about how they go about their days, you'll find that they love to remove sort of the what should be sort of a nondescript decision. They like to get rid of things that they don't want to be preoccupied with. So, buddy of mine's a very successful attorney down in Miami. And he eats the same thing every morning. He gets up at the exact same time every morning. He does his workout at the exact same time. He has a ton of white dress shirts because a white dress shirt will go with a black suit, a blue suit, a gray suit. It doesn't matter, right? He doesn't want to have to think about matching that. He just has to match the tie. So his day begins and ends by eliminating all the clutter, all the other stuff that could distract you or take up your time, so he can solely dedicate to his clients, the court case, whatever it might be. I feel like Norvell has done that already and is doing that, is in the process of doing that for these kids. When he talks about wanting to hold morning practices, lots of coaches want to hold morning practices, but when you get into the whys and hows and what that is, it speaks to a greater philosophy. And he talks about it. Hey, I don't want kids to have to think about anything when they get up, and I want the first person that they interact with to be somebody who has their best interest in mind. I don't want them to ever worry about what they do at 6 a.m., what they're doing at 6:30 a.m., 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8, 9. Their day is mapped out so that the time they have, the free time that they have to themselves, really is going to be about studying and getting some sleep, because you're going to get up and do the other things that you just did every day the same way all the time, because I don't want you getting distracted. I don't want you getting derailed. It's going to work. I think it's going to work.
Yeah, well, and that's something that the players talked about before spring availability, which is that their whole day is mapped out to the minute. And their schedules with their classes integrated in there. The morning workouts. Marvin Wilson was very proud to say he's the first one in the building because he wants to be a team leader. But even the players that weren't, let's say on Marvin Wilson's level in the locker room, the younger players were saying it was an adjustment. We had to get there early as hell, and I didn't like that very much. But now we're kind of used to it. There's going to be bumps along the way, and there's no doubt that what you were talking about a few weeks back, which is, how much do you lose? How much momentum do you lose? Habits that were forming, how much are they lost in the shuffle because kids went home during this period of time? Not everybody stayed here on campus or in Tallahassee. So for those kids that went home, they didn't just lose muscle mass. Maybe they lost a routine. So you're going to have to overcome that. That's one of the frustrations I have about not making up spring practices or not giving extra leeway. Hopefully that becomes something different, and maybe the ACC as a conference can say if you missed X amount of practices, you can get them back. But there is no doubt that his process, I like how he's open with the kids before it begins. He says this is the hardest thing you're ever going to do, but it's going to be rewarding. He's up front with them. He doesn't say, he doesn't pal around and say, all right, guys, I'm going to be your best buddy. I'm going to fix it for you and ride with me. He says, this is going to be hard, and it's not for all of you. It's going to be for some of you, hopefully most of you. But we've got to pave something down the road for everybody else that's going to be through hard work and changing everything that you've known to this point.
He actually has some things working for him. And I like to grasp the concrete, the known commodity. What do we know? Well, we know from looking at his career, who he is, who he's coached with, and the successes he's had as a head coach at Memphis, that he's adaptable. They've run their offense, true, but if he has a quarterback that really excels in running the football, he'll run him. If he's got a guy that's a pretty good passer and an average runner, he's going to steer away from running the quarterback, and he's going to throw the football. So his game plan, his strategy, his philosophy, that will always remain intact. Jimbo has his offense. Norvell has his offense. Guys have their offense, but it is your ability to recognize what you have and what you don't have, and putting those kids within that game plan in a position to succeed and utilizing their strengths and steering away from your weakness. It sounds so simple, but we weren't doing it. We haven't been doing that in over 3 years. And I think right from the jump, we're going to see that. And then something you've talked about a lot, and I think that is development. I think there's proof that he can develop. And that is huge for a program which, you almost have to swallow when you say it because it hurts your pride. Florida State used to be a program that just reloaded. But it's easier, obviously, to coach 5 stars. There's so much talent there, sometimes preternatural talent, where you just got to point them in the right direction, and they're going to be bigger, stronger, faster, and they're going to whip the guy across from them, and it makes any play you call successful because the athlete is going to make the play. It is harder to develop guys. It is harder to get guys to grow and learn and improve and work. But I think Mike Norvell and the group that he's put together, to me, they relish that opportunity, and they've certainly thrived in having gone out and gotten kids that weren't preternatural athletes, that weren't the creme de la creme of recruiting, but rather kids that had potential, but needed to be developed, and they were developed in his system.
Yeah, I think one of the key differences, too, between Norvell and Taggart is this. In the beginning with Taggart, we all talked about his record. Those that were decrying the hire, saying, look at his overall win-loss record. But then the people who were hopeful said, well, look at the way he left the program versus the way he found it. He improved Western Kentucky, like tenfold. He improved USF. And then for the 1 year in Oregon, it looked like they were going to do some things, but there were some injuries that got in the way, and they still went to a bowl after being abysmal. And he was going to, if he stayed on board in Eugene, they were going to sign the best recruiting class in the history of their program.
Right.
So you had 3 concrete examples of improvement from the day you walk in to the day you leave the program, and you say, well, shoot, if he can do that there, what can he do here with hometown ties to recruiting? Well, the problem that we found out was
he couldn't coach.
He needed the right coaches around him, and when he didn't get choice A for both the offense and the defense, we're screwed. With Norvell, he's been poached already.
Yeah.
At the group of 5 level, he's been poached already.
So it's important because when you go back, and people hear what I just said about he couldn't coach, and they think, oh, good Lord. No, that's what we didn't know. You can't know that from afar. You knew he could recruit. Right, you knew he could recruit, and that's what we thought we were hiring. We just didn't know that his inability to coach would cost us and not allow for him to utilize that strength of being an excellent recruiter. Because if you lose enough, kids don't care who you are; they're not coming.
And it's not rewriting history to say that the people in Eugene were pissed he left. They thought he was the reason.
Somewhere, I did talk to a couple Oregon guys that were like, "Good luck. You're not going to like him on game day." I did have a couple people say that. I was willing to deal with that.
But they were getting the kids the likes of they'd never seen before.
Correct. And I was willing to take a chance that he wasn't great on game day because I thought his recruiting prowess, especially in the state of Florida, would be so overwhelmingly positive that, okay, well, you'll put kids who are more talented than the kids they're playing in a position to succeed and we'll win.
Right. What was the talking point after year 1 where you go, whoa, it was, well, can we fake it till we make it?
Because that was what we were going to have to do. It became obvious that organization, game plan, calling plays, game management were not a strength.
But they can get 4- and 5-star kids to come here. You just got to give them a reason, and we couldn't even do that.
We couldn't do it.
Couldn't even let him in the facility
in
some
cases.
cases.
Didn't get the guys he wanted. He didn't get the coaches he needed to do the coaching. That's a problem. You know?
Where in this case, he's had how many offensive coordinators the last handful of years, and it doesn't matter. Roll it right over, and they're doing some things.
Well, and it's important to note, by the way, that Willie Taggart can win. I mean, he did at USF. Won a little bit at Oregon in that first year when he had a starting quarterback. But if you're a program that needs to develop and get kids coached up to where you can get on solid ground and then bring in those elite athletes, that's probably not the guy you're going to hire. Sometimes, and it's awfully hard to find coaches who have both. They exist, and they're paid very well. Nick Saban can find talent, develop it, coach it, recruit it, and win with it on game day and obviously as an assessor.
That's where something earlier you said about Clemson being the best program in the country. Yeah, I agree for a timestamp right now, but if you're talking about a program as a machine, Alabama's still the best because of the coaching turnover they've had. They've been able to absorb and still have a greater level of success. We don't know if Venables leaves what Clemson's going to look like in 2 or 3 years.
would like to find out, Tom.
Me too.
I would like to find out some century. Can that guy please leave? He's been offered 1 million jobs. Get the hell out of there already. I guess ultimately, look, I was buoyed by a conversation I had last night. It got me thinking more about our program, about Florida State, about Mike Norvell, about that staff. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if that hunch and those observations turn out to be correct or turn out to be enough. There are certain things we just said about him and his staff and his previous runs at other places that are unassailable. They are just simply true statements. I don't know if those attributes, those strengths, those success stories that I alluded to are enough to get this thing turned around in a timely fashion. I mean, he still has real hard work to do, and he's inherited a set of circumstances that are really hard to know anyhow as to the long-term impact. I'm talking about, obviously, COVID-19. He was going to have a difficult time in year 1 if everything had remained perfect in terms of, operating society.
Yeah. I think he really would like to have some kids come on campus and view the way they practice.
Sure, yeah, without question. It's heartbreaking, man. There's some things about this that really I feel bad for him. But look, I feel bad for him, and then I move on much the way he is because he's being paid millions of dollars to figure it out and get it done. And, you're not a victim of your success. You hold yourself to a standard. I'm going to hold you to that standard too. And there's a way we're supposed to do things at Florida State. Now, where we differ usually as fans and where we differ in our analysis, and I don't mean you and me, I just mean in general as Florida State supporters, is what is a reasonable time frame? What are the benchmarks along the way? What do you need to see in order to feel good, in order to know we're in the right hands, in order to feel like, okay, I'll put up with some setbacks because I think there's a real plan in place that's going to get us to where we're trying to go. That offensive line puts you in a tough position every week. So you can lose to anybody if you can't block. We've all seen that. I don't care how good a coach you are. You can be an elite coach. If you can't block, you can lose to just about anybody. Plays get blown up before they ever have a chance to develop. So I'm not trying to convince you that we're going to go win 10 games. But I am trying to say that if organization, structure, certainly hard work, and a collective mindset pulling in the same direction means anything, well, then I think they're going to win those 50-50 games. I think they're going to win contests where they have equal or close to equal talent as their opponent.
Go back to one of our mutual friends who works for ESPN said, in all the games I've worked for, Mike Norvell, I never felt like he was surprised by anything, by the other team and their game plan. He was always ready for whatever was coming. And he knew that there were going to be some wrinkles that were installed specifically for Memphis because Memphis was a big dog in the group of five in the American. And he was never surprised. He was always prepared. And that goes a long way by default because we were never prepared. We were never, ever prepared.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's, I think early on when Willie first got let go, I certainly attempted to be on balance, knowing that we were not dedicated as a university, as an athletic program. Certainly didn't have an elite athletic director in place. We weren't doing our part behind the scenes to help the on-field product to the extent that many of our opponents are.
Do you think we would have invested in Levitt and Cristobal if we had known what was coming? Do you think we would have shelled out a couple $1 million a year?
Yeah, I think that clearly would have been necessary, right?
Well, if you knew that that's what you were getting in, we wouldn't have hired him in the first place, but,
And all the other assistants and the assistants to the assistants that people like LSU and Georgia and Alabama and Clemson have, right? I mean, the football operations, Florida State was lacking. So Willie did have to deal with that, and that made things more difficult. But in my effort to certainly look at this on balance, I realized that maybe to some extent I wasn't as brutally honest. And I don't mean I was deceiving, but I wasn't being as honest with myself as to how poorly run and how poorly coached that team was. I saw all the other factors, and I just know that there's an inclination to pile on when a guy is jettisoned because there's such frustration with the product, and that's normal. I was trying to temper that, but the more I hear and the more football people that I talk to, and I'm talking about people who coach or played relatively recently, who bore witness to the same things we did, and had their hands palms to the sky going, what is going on over here?
Right.
And they didn't have an axe to grind. They weren't Knowles. They were just people who love the game, watch the game, look for things in the game and say, that's not normal. There's a real problem there. And I know that, and I saw it, and we talked about it at the time, but I don't know that I expressed, especially in relation to what we've already seen in such a short time with this staff, just how
effed up.
Yeah, I can't believe that things not only deteriorated quickly, but became just a convoluted mess. And the structure, the philosophy, the relationships, it was just a complete disarray. Complete disarray.
That's why the one place I'd say that I was protective during those discussions was of Coach Barnett. Now, there's no doubt that the defensive backs never got any better, and that's his position group, and Willie Taggart shouldn't have any effect whatsoever on Harlan Barnett making Stanford Samuels a better player. None. However, when you look at the philosophy and how even in year 2 when Willie said he was going to take a CEO approach, then he was indignant about, well, it's still my car to drive or whatever he said, he couldn't even help himself. When he wanted to be the CEO, he still meddled. Poor Harlan, undercut from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't get a fair chance overall as a defensive coordinator. Where you can absolutely pile on with Harlan is we couldn't turn around and find a football. Like, really? We didn't have technique in the defensive back group? That's your specialty, my man. But I never blamed Harlan for the fact that
we tried to change
look at
what we
Marvin
were
Wilson's
doing.
career. Look where we lined him up. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's saying that as he's coaching it. And if you don't believe what you're coaching, shoot, that can bleed over into anything you do. But he was always professional when the microphone was put in his face. Harlan Barnett was a good soldier in that regard.
I think Harlan Barnett's a good man, and I think he was undercut. I do think he was fighting an uphill battle. I think early on he recognized some of the things we just alluded to regarding Willie's coaching and the disconnect. But I also think Harlan, as it turns out, wasn't a good hire. And Willie's failures have a lot to do with the people he brought in or didn't bring in. You look at the coaches that he put together. He hired a lot of friends who were in over their head, and then when he couldn't get the guys that he wanted to do the actual coaching, his fallback hires were abysmal failures. Walt Bell was a mess. He was just a mess, and I don't know how much to lay at his feet and how much to lay at Willie's feet, but I don't think Walt was a very good football coach when he was here.
He wasn't great, but again, it's hard to pull those two issues apart. Like, for example, on the way out, he says to Sam Howell, don't go to Florida State, and everybody's pissed about that, and I am too. It's like, hey, man, the hell, you don't just trash the place you
Well, it's not
left.
what you do. It's really frowned upon in the coaching community.
But on the other hand, he's probably telling him the truth and not, grinding an axe.
Sure. Yeah, I think you'd probably be
like,
best.
Dude, stay the hell away.
I think you're best suited to maybe never let that get out somehow. I mean, if you're so inclined because you've developed a good relationship with the boy and his family,
yeah,
then you might give a very quiet, hey man.
Well, but that's the one thing that's really important. As this kid continues to play well in the Coastal, and maybe they win a couple of Coastals
that kid's
before he
really
leaves.
freaking good. If you just watched a game last year, and I know you did, you realize he's a little bit better than a lot of the recruiting experts thought he was right off the bat.
Well, would you have wanted him if he saved Willie's job would be the question I'd ask Florida State fans. Number 2, I'd say he was never coming in here anyway because if they didn't fire
to Walt Bell.
Who was Mr. America, their coach, the jacked guy? I've forgotten his name already.
Yeah.
I want to say Butch Jones, but I know it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
If he had stayed on, Walt would have been hired as his offensive coordinator, and Hal would have gone there anyway. So, he was never coming. That was where Walt was in the dirty game. But then again, that's how we got Jalen Ramsey and DeMarcus Walker overnight after we won the national championship. So, who the hell knows? Or after, the 2012 Orange Bowl. Next day, it's like Jalen Ramsey, DeMarcus Walker, come on down with Jeremy Pruitt. The game can get nasty. But he wasn't coming here anyway. If Walt would have left and taken the OC job at North Carolina.
Larry Fedora.
There we go.
Sweet Jesus, I couldn't remember Larry Fedora either, so I just listened, and then I had to go to the Google.
Mr. America.
I had to go to the Google. I just typed in, fired North Carolina football coach.
I just think, and this is an argument that has nothing to do with Norvell and his professional level of organization, and it looks to me like he wants to run an NFL-type organization. Maybe that's the way he wants to go down the road. I think Harlan had a chance to be a better defensive coordinator than Charles Kelly if he was allowed to do what he wanted to do, rather than have Willie just... I mean... It would be like handing in a paper in class back in the day, and it's all bathing in red ink, and you're like, dude, it's like
Okay.
It's freaking shells. It's shells. Day one shells. Willie, what are you doing? Everything is wrong. Jim Levitt should be here.
Well, I get it. I feel bad for Harlan because he was a good soldier. He sucked in year 1, too, when Willie let him do what he wanted to do.
He didn't, though. In the first fall camp, Willie's like, he's teaching him too much. It's like, holy cow.
I think we hired the wrong co. I think we did. We hired the wrong co. And we paid a dear price for that, too. Like I say, Willie's hires were bad.
Yeah.
They were just bad hires.
Well, we were planting seeds in the desert with any of the coaches, is what I'd say. Good luck seeing that stuff grow. The only cacti was with Odell. Because Odell's been there. He's like, I got this.
We don't have to relitigate, though, because we this is more about what we do have now, and there is a depth of organization, the likes of which we haven't seen, maybe ever. I mean, this is the most organized group I've ever seen, and that goes back to Bowden's time, goes back to Jimbo's early time, because Jimbo worked himself nearly to death. That wasn't efficient. He did a good job.
Right.
He was able to handle it.
It wasn't healthy, but he did it.
Yeah, it wasn't a well-run organization. It's just that he was up 21 straight hours every day working.
He didn't look it at all.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
The Florida Lottery has awarded nearly 900,000 Bright Future scholarships and counting. That means Bright Future scholars are everywhere.
They're doctors,
Teachers.
Scientists.
Even artists.
They are shining in every field imaginable. And every day, more students are preparing for their moment in the spotlight. With Bright Futures and the Florida Lottery.
This spring, I'm making Everyday Earth Day by incorporating small actions that can create big results.
Like what?
Well, I'm starting with daily habits, turning off the lights every time I leave a room, shutting off the tap when I brush my teeth, and unplugging electronics when I'm not using them.
Those are great ideas our whole family can do.
And since we're home more, I could also use your help with a few one-time projects that could benefit us long-term, like fixing water leaks and installing our rain barrel.
I'd love to help. Right after I call the City of Tallahassee Utilities at 891-4968 to sign up for paperless billing.
Excellent! Tonight, let's ask the kids if they have any ideas about what we can do to save energy, water, and money as we celebrate Earth Day at home.
2020 marks the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and there are many things TLH can do to celebrate at home. Get inspiration at TLHCanDo.com. Small actions create big results. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
With a Bojangles 3-piece chicken supreme snack, you get a plate of bold, boneless chicken and a hot, fluffy, made-from-scratch biscuit for just $3.99. Or, if you'd rather 2 pieces of bone-in fried chicken with a biscuit and a fixin', don't you worry, because that's $3.99 too. It's such a good deal, you can knock out dinner and balance your budget in one fell swoop. Because if you're going to take out 2 birds with 1 stone, they ought to be delicious. Bojangles. It's bow time.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Redemption Thursday, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Got a do-it-yourself project that needs to be finished? Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Avenue in Tallahassee and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Online at ctf.nu.
I wrote this song with the great Don Corvette, and I'd like to dedicate it to the one and only Bobby Womack.
Joe Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, as we wrap it up.
From the storm.
Fitting lyric given the rain the last 2 days, which is good. I always laugh at that because, whenever there's a drought, you hear about it every day. Oh, the water line's worse off than it's been in years. It's just, it's not raining enough. We don't have enough water. Well, good God. Tallahassee is Seattle of the South. It rains here incessantly.
Yeah, the 2 things that would always really irk me when we would have, like, let's say Sunday dinners with extended family would come over and, you have to do that whole thing. And it's like a mini Thanksgiving because you got to be proper and stuff.
Yeah.
But the 2 topics were which gas station put, 3 cents less than the other one. And then the drought. And it's
You're
like, hey,
I'm going to stare at the walls.
Listen, man, when we get rain, we're going to get it for 20 straight days. Because you know what it's called? It's called the summer in Tampa. I bet you here in Pinellas County around 4 o'clock every day, it's going to start magically raining.
It's going to pour.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. I always laugh about it too, man.
Moreover, you burn more gas to get to that stupid gas station on the other side of US 19. Please.
I remember Christy and I were talking when I went and saw my friend Chris Kraft Nissan and Nissan Kraft Infinity, I should say. And, obviously I have a tank of a car, that QX80. It doesn't miss a gas station, Tom. I mean, that is the downside of owning a car of that size and luxury and comfort.
You hate the environment. That's right. You hate it.
So she was talking to me about my pursuit of that car. I'm trying to word this carefully. And she said, you really want to get that thing. It's a behemoth. You really don't need it. I was like, well, we have 2 kids, 2 dogs. It can fit all of them comfortably. We do take road trips. It is practical for a family like ours.
It's called a Subaru, man.
So as we went through the talking points, you'll like this because this is the good kind of hoity-toity on my behalf. She said, oh, but the gas prices and the gas that you're going to be putting in that thing, it's just going to be so much more expensive. And I said, honey, if we can afford a QX80, you think I'm concerned with the cost of gas? And she goes, you're such an ass, but that is a valid point. I said, thank you. That was the end of the gas talk. Stop it. And I think that way even when I own a normal sedan or something.
Yeah.
I'm not driving across town or up to Georgia because somebody's 4 cents better.
Right.
Oh, thanks for the 25 cents I saved or,
right.
Good Christ.
Yeah, it's 50 cents cheaper, even 50 cents.
So
hey,
what?
man, are you willing to drive 20 miles for that 50-cent discount?
That's dumb.
Right, because take a look at the tens of dollars you save over the course of the year. Congratulations. Unless you're driving for a living, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And if you're driving for a living, chances are the expenses are already covered anyway.
Well, it's funny because it speaks to a mindset, and that is a more pragmatic and practical and conservative mindset fiscally to be concerned with pricing of almost anything. Now, obviously, nobody wants to get gouged. If I see something that normally costs $7 and this place has it for $26, I'm not going to do that. But when we're talking about a difference of 4 cents, 10 cents.
Right.
Okay, when I'm at the grocery store, if I run into Publix, everybody knows I go to Publix. Who doesn't? It's a great place. Anyhow, I go in there, I get my shopping done. It's over. I'm not going somewhere else because their price for milk is cheaper. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But my wife, if I run in somewhere and I come home with an item, any item, whatever it is, and she goes, where did you get that? Publix. Where the hell do you think I got that? I mean, where else would I get it? Mm-hmm. She's like, well, you know, it's cheaper to get that at Target. You can get that same thing for probably about 30 cents less. And I would have had to drive all the way hell up to Target.
There's a response for that, which is you can certainly go get it at Target.
Yeah,
if you want to do the Target shopping, I'll do the Publix shopping and then set me a list of which is which.
It's just dumb. Knock it out. I hate it.
Yes. Now, I'm a guy who likes the BOGO as much as the next dude.
I do.
BOGOs are great. I do check the BOGOs. I get excited to check the BOGOs.
I do too. I think they're great. There's something about them. They trigger us all. We go, woohoo,
But I just got Planters Cocktail Peanuts BOGO, buddy. And I am thrilled. I haven't had Planters Cocktail Peanuts in I don't know how long.
Well, they got you because they put them on BOGO. You wouldn't have wasted your money on those, but they were BOGO, so you had to.
I had two things intersecting because it's my dad's birthday over the weekend. He turned 72, and he loves the hell out of those things.
My dad just turned 72 on May the 8th.
Our dads are days apart in age.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But he loves those things, and I'd just gotten his gift, and I shipped it down to him via Prime, so it'll be there on time. He was on the mind, and I saw the cocktail peanuts, and I said, Dad, that's what he always crunched on as a post-dinner snack. He'd just go grab the big tin, and you'd see like big handfuls. You'd hear
God.
You'd be like crushing Planters Cocktail Peanuts. So I had those. But the point is, my oldest sister is that way, and it's crazy. Atlanta, she'll go Kroger over Publix any day of the week because apparently Kroger, even though it's ratty inside, will save you.
Is what it is.
Will save you, $10, $12 a week.
You know why? Because they don't spend on the infrastructure. It's crappy looking, and that's why they're able to save you 6 cents on the price of eggs.
Yeah. My guess is they don't offer their employees stock options.
Yes.
Right?
I laugh at that too. But anyhow, listen, there isn't a supermarket in the world that can I shouldn't say the world. I have not been to every supermarket.
No. What is it? H-E-B out in Texas is the real deal.
It's better than Publix.
For its options,
that's a profound statement.
Well, when you're talking about produce, now you like tacos, right?
I love
and all the things that go with Tex-Mex, right?
Yeah.
Or straight Mexican food over
Mexican
there.
food, period. Yeah.
Because you can get the real deal. The price of everything there is just unbelievable. It is. It's not as nice inside.
Well,
don't get me wrong.
I was going to say it couldn't.
The streets aren't polished.
Yeah.
They're not golden streets.
I like my environs when I'm at Publix. It helps.
is the truth.
It helps ease the tension of shopping and being around morons, and so I enjoy.
Well, you're in Austin, though.
Well, yeah, that's true. But So Christy will say that. She'll say, "Did you buy? Did you? God forbid I have to go into the freaking Walmart." But anyhow, I occasionally do. I mean, they do make it so convenient. And anyhow, you go in there, and if I make the mistake to tell her I'm going, it's, make sure you get this item, this item, this item, this item, because it's 4 cents cheap. Jesus, baby. I don't care about saving 4 cents.
I do that intentionally because I do want the feather in the cap for later in case I need it. I'm like, hey, I'm going to the wholesale store that doesn't advertise here on 97.9 Spin Radio.
Do you need anything?
You need anything? That's okay. No problem. You want to add something else? No problem. That's not a big deal because then I have it in the back pocket for later.
You can pull that card out when you need it.
But what I was told my parents was rather than saving 3 cents a gallon on gas, why don't you just, instead of buying Advil, buy the Publix brand? I've saved you gas for a year.
There you go.
It's $4 cheaper.
It's the exact same medicine.
It's the same medicine.
The exact same.
Stop buying Dayquil. Give me the Publix Quill.
I will tell you this. There are certain generic products that I simply will not purchase.
Cereals?
Oh, what criminal is buying freaking generic cereal. Don't do that.
Yeah, Captain Crisp.
Don't do that, guys. Oh, well, I shouldn't say. There are people who need to do that, and I'm not trying. That's terrible of me. But anyhow, the point.
If you can, get the crunch.
Yeah, you got to get the real deal. You can't get Lucky Mellows or whatever. You know,
Golden Squares.
You got to get the actual. Every time we talk generic stuff, I just instantly am transported back to middle school, and I feel terrible for all the kids that bought the fake Jordans and got made fun of. Their parents would get them the Jordans that looked just like Jordans, but they weren't Jordans, and it was obvious they weren't Jordans. And so those kids who desperately wanted Jordans, you know, their moms would get them those shoes, and they would come to school, and kids are freaking cruel. And it was radar, man. People check your feet with the quickness. That was currency. And you walked into that campus, and, man, if you had the fake Jordans on, ruthless, the chiding. Ruthless.
Yeah.
And I watched kids cry. That still breaks my heart. I'm still bothered by that. I'm too sensitive, I guess.
Well, you know, if
That's
it's every
terrible.
day, because every day, you
It's
know,
terrible.
with the dress code stuff. You know, I shadowed over at a public school when I was thinking about leaving CCC. And the best part, I've told this story, but the teacher who was there said, "This is Tom. He's shadowed from CCC. He's leaving because they're doing drug testing now over there." I was like, no. What? No, that's a leap, sir. That is a leap. They are, in fact, doing drug testing starting next semester. But I'm not leaving because they're starting to do
That's awesome,
the drug
whoever that was.
testing.
That's
And like, everyone was
great.
like, what? But day one, I got made fun of when I was shadowing at lunch. I got made fun of because I
That's
had
public school, baby.
I had super nice Nikes on. Because I had super nice Nikes
Oh,
on, which were the standard
You
at the other place.
You couldn't win for losing, yeah.
But I do agree that the idea of the uniform, that helps a lot. Because if the currency is the backpack quality or
Right.
the pencil case
Right.
or the pens, that's over in a day. With the clothes thing, you get hit with that every single
day, man. And those kids can't help it. It always pissed me off. If I saw it, I remember I punched a kid. I punched a kid named Charlie. I'll never forget it because he kept ripping this other kid about his fake Jordans. I did pull the kid aside and say, you're better off just wearing some other kicks, man. Just wear like cheap ass Reebok or something. Don't. You can't just roll.
Listen, he's being ridiculous, but you know,
Listen, for your own good.
Yeah.
You're going to keep getting made fun of because you got the fake Jordans. You can wear some sorry sneaker that's $20 and nobody's going to say anything. But if you're trying to pretend to wear, you're going to get made fun of more. Because they know they can hurt you.
We had a kid named Patrick in middle school who transferred in. Middle school is where this happens the worst.
Oh, middle school's the worst. Yeah.
Transferred in from Michigan. He was a big Spartans fan. And he would pick on one of my friends about anything and everything because it rolls downhill. And this guy, I was done. I was like a Don in the middle school. I had Teddy Larson, future 10-year NFL player.
Yeah.
Charlie Horse Patrick off the ground. He elevated with the high knee into the Charlie Horse position. That kid was crying for 2 periods. That was the end of that.
That was the end of that.
You don't pick on
We're
my friends.
done here. We're
Teddy
done.
was like, I got it. I hate him anyway. I was like, good. You do it. I could never do it as good as you could.
You ordered a hit.
I ordered a hit.
Oh, and on that note, good work out of you. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be well. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Attention Tallahassee, Phase 1 is Phase Patio at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill will be serving up the coldest, crispest refreshments and their signature delicious jumbo wings, all while adhering to responsible social distancing. You know this is the best time of the year to sit on the outdoor patio or deck, so make the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachie Parkway your first and most frequent stop for Phase Patio. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Order takeout today at cptallybar.com. That's cptallybar.com. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
The good folks at AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping say it's time to prepare your property for hurricane season. It's crucial to have trees inspected before a hurricane. Removing dead or hazardous trees and limbs is your best protection against property damage. Don't be reactive to the weather. Be proactive. Have your trees professionally trimmed or removed before it's too late. AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping has been providing tree inspection, trimming, and removal in our community for over 30 years. Call AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping at 385-3319.
Not every law firm is the same. For example, you don't hire a divorce attorney to handle a foreclosure. The same goes for your insurance claim. Hire a firm that has the knowledge and experience in handling insurance matters. The Morgan Law Group is dedicated solely to this cause, fighting insurance claims that are underpaid, delayed, or denied. With offices throughout Florida, the Morgan Law Group covers claims for all hurricanes, storms, mold, fires, boats, and even sinkholes. Representing the policyholder, going after the insurance companies. The Morgan Law Group. Offices Miami, Orlando, Naples, and Panama City. Online at policyadvocate.com.
Not an employee or member of a law firm.
Hey guys, how are you? This is Eddie from Gordo's Restaurants and Bumpa's Local 349. I just want to let you guys know that we here in the local community love to have you back. It's 25%, we know, but we're doing the best that we can to serve you and do what we do the way we do it. Same great food, a little bit more space. And we're not the only ones. There's lots of local restaurants out there. Just remember, eat local, drink local, be local. Come see us.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
So this is how it happens, all right? It's a celebrity poker tournament, and if you thought to yourself that John Hamm enters a chat room with ham bone in the house, you'd be correct. I show up at the table. Cards are being dealt, but there's only one person betting. So what's happening is, as this moves around the table and everyone's time runs out, Stugotz just keeps getting the money. Every time he bets, the money comes from Stugotz. So he's slowly bleeding people who are having trouble getting in the room. And I'm on the Skype, and I'm watching these people, and they're saying, I'm trying to get in, I can't get in. And I'm yelling at Stugotz in the chat room, Stugotz, stop taking everybody's money. We don't know these people. And Stugotz's chip total ended up at 12,000 before the thing even got started, while everyone else was starting at 8,000 because he'd stolen so much of their money. And he still finished last.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.